Welcome back into studio with us. We are getting ready, getting amped and excited for the 2023 23K here at the Broken Arrow Skyrace. I think we've got some course updates to talk about though, Dylan. If we've got the ability to throw to Dylan's computer. We've got the updated 11K double looped course that we'll be utilizing today during the 23K. There we go.
Yep. So here we go, folks. As we pull up today's course, I zoomed all the way out to just give you appreciation of where we are sitting now, right adjacent to beautiful Lake Tahoe in Northern California. As I zoom in here on the Palisades, Tahoe region and Olympic Valley, where Corrine and I are broadcasting now. Again, due to high winds here, we had to make some course adjustments this morning. A big shout out to our race organization crew who handled those challenges with poise and composure this morning. Instead of running the single 23K loop as was scheduled, today we are going to be running 2 loops of the 11K course, which was run by hundreds of athletes yesterday. So it is quite a seamless transition, it felt like, for the race organization crew. It's already well marked and it's just as challenging. So again, this loop that you're looking at on my computer now, the athletes are going to run 2 times. So the numbers that you see there in terms of distance and elevation gain and loss, you need to multiply those by 2. So it's a roughly 12-mile course with roughly 4,500 feet of climbing here today. Looking back at last year's results, and we're going to get to some of the highlights from last year, men's champion Andy Wacker last year ran an hour and 50 minutes. Corrine, I'm sure you would agree that we will likely see times faster than that.
Yeah, I think we had some kind of behind the scenes betting going on this morning with the guys running the cameras on the course, and it was the over under on the 90-minute mark was the bets being thrown down, somewhere between 86 minutes and 95 minutes. I think this is Andy blitzing down the course last year. Behind him was going to be number 2 Eli Hemming, who was number 2 in both the VK and the 23K last year. Eli Hemming, definitely one of the favorites on the men's side, I would say, today, after an absolutely standout 2022 season.
And Andy Wacker, of course, has been a long-time sub-ultra legend, and he's doing a lot to lead the sub-ultra category of the sport into its next generation, especially here in North America with the founding of the Trail team, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later. I think he's working his way back from a little bit of injury, but Andy Wacker always a factor and will be one of the factors in today's men's race as well. Again, this is a replay of the 22 race that happened here 12 months ago this weekend. On the women's side last year, the women's champion was Sophia Lockley, who was one of the stories of the weekend, a Nordic skier now making her way into professional trail running. She ran 2 hours 6 minutes last year, and here's Sophia.
Yeah, she was one of those athletes that kind of shouldn't have come out of nowhere to any of us. I think looking at the start list, you're like, oh, this gal's an Olympian in Nordic skiing. We should probably watch out for her, and that's exactly what happened. She went on to run in the Golden Trail Series last year, both her and Eli Hemming getting named to the Salomon global team at the end of last season. So really breakout performances. I mean, watching her legitimately run away with the race here last year was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, so we will likely see times a little bit faster than that, just like in the VK and in the 46K, due to the course alterations that had to be made this year due to both wind and snow. We are dealing with slightly shorter and slightly faster courses, which likely, Corrine, will lead to more exciting racing.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be extra exciting too, because we're going to have them doubling through the finish line area just outside of where we're sitting, and I think that's going to add some excitement, some flavor, some great spectating for those that are watching from the village. You know, you don't have that opportunity. Normally we send them up the mountain and we don't see them until they come back down here. It's
pretty cool too. They have sort of the Jumbotron set up here right next
bleachers,
to the finish line. With
like
bleachers.
Stadium seating.
So after the gun kicks off, people will be able to sit on the bleachers and watch Corrine and I broadcast the 23K race, see the athletes come through the first loop, and then sit back down on the bleachers to watch that second loop as it unfolds. Let's talk more about the favorites in today's race. I know we have some graphics there to share as well. So
yeah, I mean, to kick off, as we get these graphics up for the men's, there's some of our men's favorites. So yeah, people to keep your eye on, right? Both at the very top of that screen and the bottom of that screen, 2 Italians, Henry Amando and Andre Roston. They were 1 and 3 in the VK. Super talented young Italian athletes, going to be new names to a lot of people. Also on that list internationally is Zach Hanna. He finished 4th. Other names to keep an eye on, I think, you know, Garrett Corrine and Liam Miro, both were just on the U.S. Worlds team in Innsbruck. Liam made the decision to come race on Thursday.
Yep.
Got to meet him last night for the first time. Those 2 guys are both ready to throw down. Chad Hall might be a name that's familiar to some people.
One of the breakout stars of the 2022 season. He was on my panel last night, and it feels like he is hungry and ready to return to his trail racing season after what felt like a hard race at the Boston Marathon a couple months ago. Garrett Corcoran, I think a really interesting new character in the sport. He was the top American, finishing 14th overall at the Classic Mountain Race, or the short trail race, excuse me.
Yeah, not the Classic.
Yeah,
Liam was in the Classic, yeah.
Liam Miro, guy we were just talking about before we went live today as well, a really interesting new athlete on the circuit. He came through and absolutely smash the 30K at the Gorge Waterfalls event.
Yeah, and then having to give shout outs to Kieran Ney, who I think has been 9th here year after year, looking to move up from that position. Paddy O'Leary had a decent day in the VK. He's, I think, got an inside bet going with Zach Hanna as who's going to come out on top for the Irish lads. Today, Pat Parcell might not be a name that a lot of people know on the larger North American scene, but he is a Tahoe Basin guy, and when he races really, really hard. He's great on skis as well. He knows the trails in the course. I think the OG course might suit him a little bit better than what he's going to see out there today, but he is incredibly fast. Is there anyone that you think we're missing? We haven't talked too much, I guess, about Eli besides that initial intro.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eli comes in as certainly one of the favorites alongside Chad Hall, one of the breakout stars in trail and mountain running last year, competing head-to-head with some of the world's best on the Golden Trail World Series, guys like, you know, Remy Bonnet and Thibaut Baronian and Rui Ueda and all the great international athletes who make their living and focus their competitive energy in the short course trail running. Of course, Eli Hemming, coming from a pro triathlete background, the guy knows how to train, the guy knows how to race. In fact, we were talking about this on our panel yesterday. He just felt like he just needed to gain experience, gain some of those technical skills of just running up and downhill on trails. Now that he has that experience, he is going to be a scary, scary person on the circuit. Let's talk about the women, Corrine.
Yeah, let's bring up those gals. I think the notable absences on the men's and women's side too, though, just to mention real quickly, Seth Ruling's not here. He's dealing with some, I think, viral pericarditis, so he's sitting out a bunch this summer. And then Grayson Murphy, just coming off world champs with a bronze and a gold, has decided not to race this weekend, which I think is probably very smart. But on the women's side, we've got really interesting stories going on. Some names that are going to be missed from people, I think, including the name at the top of that list being Chessa Adsett-Morris, super, super fast. I believe she's Canadian, but she lives in San Diego, and she is kind of one of those classic mountain style runners, really fast over the short distances, someone that I think might surprise folks today. We also have someone like Ruby Lindquist, who is also on that North Face development team, really fast, younger athlete, newer athlete coming up in the scene, just missed, I think, had very close finishes at those USATF trials races for the trail team. You've got Anna Gibson, who won the VK, but is a little uncertain on her downhill abilities, I think. But this course, I think, is going to suit her super well today.
Scary, scary, talented athlete. Anna Gibson came in studio with Corrine and I after her VK victory, where she looked so smooth. And man, I was struck just by her maturity, her excitement, and how she seems like she's born for it, having grown up in Wyoming.
Yeah, I think that she's made for this sport, and we're so excited to see more of her. She's part of that trail team that Andy Wacker has kind of put together and gotten off the ground. Also on this list include previous champions in Allie McLaughlin and Janelle Lynx. Allie coming back off of kind of a hard world. I think she's looking to have a really fun day out there. And then Janelle Lynx, who won this race in 2021. Really, that's where she came onto, I think, all of our radars in that very cool, very dominant performance there. And I got to speak with her on our women's 23K elite panel, and her composure and her love for what she's doing. And I was like almost in tears in moments. She had an injury last year that kept her from doing what she loves for a very long time, and getting to listen to her talk about like coming back from that and just being excited to really be here this weekend, just like chills.
Sweet. Amazing. And for those who are watching our live stream, you can watch the replay of Corrine's panel with Janelle Lynx and many of the other characters here in our women's favorites. So go back on YouTube and watch that after today's broadcast. We are going to be here in studio for several hours, so settle in. Now, I'd love to talk a little bit about the wind and about the weather. We've sort of referenced it a couple of times, but if we want to share my screen, I'll give our audience a deeper understanding of what the athletes might be dealing with up on the hill today. So this is, of course, the NOAA website here, and it gives a lot of great information, updated every 30 minutes roughly, about the wind speed, about the temperature. So right now we're sitting at about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels a little bit warmer than that, but the wind is gusting up to 60 miles an hour up at the summit. So again, the athletes will be dealing with that wind. I doubt it'll probably slow them down too much on a course like this, but that is why we had to make the course alterations. And again, a big shout out to the race organization who did so seamlessly this morning. And a big thank you to all of our viewers who have been patient with us this morning as we have had a delayed start. While we've got my screen shared, let's look at the athletes in the village here. Corrine, maybe just set this up and let people know what they're looking at.
Yeah, so we've got trackers on about 20 of the men and 20 of the women. That's going to allow us some additional IDing, I think, over the course of the race as well. But it's really cool. We got to watch people are like, oh, look, Henry's warming up. Or, you know, where they are in relationship to that start. Most of them should be heading towards that start arch so that they are ready to go when the gun goes off here in just about 10 minutes. But yeah, it's going to be, it's really cool that we have trackers on athletes this year. We used it during the VK as well, and it was really fun to get to literally follow their dots moving up the race course. So new tech coming at you in these short distance races. Come on, long distance races, we gotta get on this. It's really, really cool. 40 live trackers on athletes this weekend.
Yeah, again, Broken Arrow pulls out all the stops to keep all of us informed and excited about the racing as it happens. As Corrine said, we are probably 7 to 10 minutes away from the start of today's 23K, and I think we have one of the sport's biggest superstars at the start line who may be doing a couple of interviews for us. Let's throw it down there.
We're on the start line of the 23K. We've got a group of ladies holding the front line. How are we feeling today?
Good. I feel great.
Are you excited about the course reroute?
Actually, yeah, I am. Yeah.
Very cool. Anna, how are you feeling about the 2 loops versus 1?
I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think it'll be really fun. Fun little mix up.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
And there you have it, folks. The great Courtney DeWalter here at the start line as part of the Broken Arrow Skyrace. She is going to be in studio with Corrine and Maggie Gooderil shortly after the start of today's race, which again, we expect to happen in the next 7 to 10 minutes. I think we did want to hear from some of our production staff behind the scenes. Mr. Scott Rokas, I know, had a couple of words that he wanted to share about the broadcast today and all the effort that's been put into it. So whenever Scott's ready, we would love to hear a little bit about that too.
All right, how's everybody doing this morning? This is quite a shakeup today. We had all cameras positioned around the mountain. Like, we've been looking at this for months. You know, how do we move follow cams? And all of a sudden, in the spur of the last half an hour, what an amazing team we have put together. Follow cams. We had to get 60 pounds of drone gear up into a new spot to go, so everybody banded together. And so I'm very thankful and very happy that we have this stream and this production crew and the support and the production quality of Ultra Sign Up to be able to pull this off. And Friday's 15-minute push, and then today's hour-and-a-half push. So the last thing I want to mention is my own personal involvement with Ultra Sign Up. I'm not sure how many of you have had it, but one late New Year's Eve night, scrolling around, I ended up signing up for a race and did my first Ultra. So I know many of you have done that. There's over 5,000 races on the platform, and I bet many of you will be doing that in the future too. So I'm going to throw it back because the start line is way more interesting than me. So Dylan and Corrine, thank you very much.
And a big thank you to Scott Rokas and the big crew behind the scenes. Again, as I said on Friday, Corrine and I get much of the attention and the kudos, but really we have the easy jobs here, don't we, Corrine?
Yeah, we just got to sit here and look pretty.
Yes, we do. We do our best to look pretty. Did my makeup this morning and everything.
Yeah, Harmony gave you a hand.
Yeah, before we get to today's race, a reminder to get in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know who you're cheering for. Stay active and keep the excitement going during today's broadcast. I know we will get down to the start line here momentarily to hear from race director Brendan Madigan, so we're going to go to that now.
This course is going to suit him super well, I think.
Okay, so we are indeed live, but that was an awesome visual there of just how deep The field is assembled here in Olympic Village, and I think they did expect 800 runners to take the start line here today as we see some of the race favorites here assembled. And there is Brendan Madigan, the race director.
When I say broken, you say. When I say broken, you say broken. When I say arrow, when I say arrow, broken. All right, sweet. Okay, welcome to the 8th annual Broken Arrow Skyrace presented by Salomon. Thank you to every single soul running and spectating in this village today. So, not only today will be a fantastic life voyage for you, one of the best days of your life, I guarantee it. You're on TV, thanks to our friends at Ultrasign Up, who are presenting a live stream of this distance. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. Let's give them a really big round of applause, please. And today matters better. You're part of the kickoff of the 2023 Valsier Mountain Running World Cup. You're participating in the international event, so let's clap for that. We'd be remiss not to thank our great partners at Palisades Tahoe who welcome us to this village. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. And we also must recognize that all of us are about to recreate and enjoy sacred Wa She Shu lands, and we're lucky and privileged to be able to do that. So, to get this party started, you guys are going to clap with me. We're going to start slow. Right here, ready? Slower. Come on. Clap with me. Slower. A little quicker. A little faster. A little faster. All right, count with me. In 10, 9, 8.
Off the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace 23K presented by Salomon is underway. Only an hour and a half delayed as the runners make their way down this gradual descent out through the parking lot before they hit the dirt trail where they will start climbing.
I was going to say Anna Gibson out fast, tucking in with that lead group of men. I saw Tabor Hemming right off of her shoulder. We knew this race was going to go out fast and furious, independent of what course they are on. That is exactly what is happening right now.
And it's great that we do have a drone here early in today's race. I know if they were flying any higher, it'd probably be a little bit too blustery with the wind, but what a great visual as we look down at Olympic Village as the runners cruise through the parking lot here and make their way onto the dirt for the first time. This first mile is going to be a really fast one. I would expect our leaders to get out sub 6-minute pace before they start climbing in earnest.
Yeah, and this is allowing them to spread out a little bit before things choke up in the trees, which was where we're probably going to lose some of our initial cameras out there. We know that we don't have great connectivity from parts of the early section of this course, so we might lose them as they head into the woods here, but I'm so glad that we're getting these aerial shots today. And good ID time with people on the start line. We got to pick out a lot of the runners there.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting, I think, with this course alteration and the two-loop nature of it, to see who tries to maybe try and get separation, or if they're going to come through the first loop as a pack and the separation occurs in the second loop. Because the 23K is typically just a single loop course, you usually see the people who excel as climbers try and get out to a hot start, knowing that the back half is a long descent. This time it's going to be a little bit more of an equalizer with two of those climbs.
I'm wondering if if Eli Hemming is in red out in front, if that is that red Salomon top that we're seeing there on the screen. We will get confirmation as they head up this climb, but man, they are moving fast.
Yep. As they make their way into the trees here, we're going to lose sight on the leaders. Oh, no, we aren't. We've got the follow cam.
We get a little bit of follow cam in here before they go out of service. This is where we picked up Joanna last year during the women's race early on as well.
Yeah, that does look like Eli Hemming behind Chad Hall. It looks like our early men's leader. Again, Chad Hall, one of the breakout. These are the two breakout stars really from last year's trail and mountain running season. Chad Hall from San Diego, the brother of the great track and field athlete and American marathon record holder Ryan Hall. Chad Hall is his younger brother, a fantastic athlete in his own right, living in San Diego. Both these guys have multi-sport backgrounds, both as triathletes. In fact, they said that they used to race each other as triathletes way back in the day. And Eli Hemming, of course, from Boulder, Colorado. I think he comes from Kremling, a small town in western Colorado. But these two guys are likely going to be dueling it out on the course here today as two of our favorites. And Eli is certainly one of the best climbers in the sport.
Yeah, and so it looks like it's two and then a camera and then that group of three. So they are starting to create a little bit of separation over the chase pack. And I don't think there's any surprises seeing Chad Hall and Eli Hemming out in front. I think that would have been anyone's guess this morning.
Totally. And Chad Hall devoted the first half of his season here this year on road marathons. I think he did both Houston and Boston. I think Houston he ran really fast. I can't exactly recall his marathon time. He said that Boston was a little bit more rough and that he was excited to transition to the trail season now. I do recall that last year he was able to successfully double at the Mammoth Trail Fest, where he won both the vertical race and the 50K event at Mammoth Trail Fest.
These two guys are so fast, and someone who's going to be just off their shoulder is going to be someone like Liam Myro, who we've been talking about a little bit, another potential standout. Here is the front of our women's race. We're going to be
like Anna Gibson and Tabor Hemming here, so the Hemmings are both in podium position here in the opening mile.
Which I think is what we expected going in, was kind of this power dynamic. They are going to also be, they are going to finish this race, they're going to drive to the airport, and they're flying to Europe because they are racing next Sunday. They're racing Marathon du Mont Blanc, and then they fly from there to Alaska to race Mount Marathon. So they have a triple going on that I think is potentially historic.
Yeah, I was talking to them here in the village the other day, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be pretty chaotic. And I'm like, man, you guys are in your mid-20s. You better be savoring this. This is what life is all about. Come out for a good rip here at Broken Arrow in the 23K. A nice warm-up for the Marathon du Mont Blanc, one of the biggest, most important races in Europe, happening in the Chamonix Valley as part of the Golden Trail World Series. And then, of course, going to Mount Marathon in Alaska, one of the most iconic and hardcore mountain races in the world.
Yeah.
So the Hemmings are quite a storyline.
Oh, and Tabor said, oh, we don't do anything easy. We make everything kind of hard and chaotic. So.
Yeah. Eli was on my panel yesterday, and we talked a little bit about their partnership and the fact that they're able to share this adventure together. It was one of those sentimental moments that, you know, I'm a sucker for, Corrine. But
yeah, you got chills and tears, I'm sure. But speaking of that, on our panel, we also had Rachel Drake, someone who we did not talk about in that preview. Rachel Drake, Nike athlete, Golden Trail standout, had a baby about 9 months ago, coming back from a stress fracture kind of in that postpartum period as well. I wonder how she's feeling today, but it was really cool to have both, you know, have Tabor and Rachel on the panel talking about how they get to do this sport with their partners and travel to race with them, with Rachel staying here with Tyler for him to race Western States next weekend. So really, really cool to see.
For his fourth time in a row.
Dynamic duos in our sport.
Absolutely. It was great to connect with Tyler in the village the other day. Both of us new dads, and a big shout out to all the fathers out there as we celebrate a happy Father's Day here. What could be better? Sitting in studio with Corrine and then getting to go hang out with my little boy all afternoon. So a big shout out to all the dads here watching us on YouTube and in the chat. Again, we are looking down on the early leaders in the men's race. A big thank you to our production staff for this awesome drone footage, and a big thank you to the follow cam runner who managed to hang on to the wheel of Chad Hall and Eli Hemming, our early leaders here today. Looks like they're starting to bunch up though, Corrine.
Yeah, it looks like things are coming back together a little bit, which I think you're going to see some of that accordion over the course of the race, or as Sarah Kai has recently described it to me, a slinky, where things spread out and then bunch back up together through these switchbacks. So I'm not too surprised that we're going to see some of that based on terrain, based on that initial fast start. But
so maybe going back to that, Corrine, we were talking about this in the VK too, as I was referencing the new Netflix series Unchained about the Tour de France, and about how some athletes are climbers, some athletes are descenders, and you have to sort of play your strengths, play your cards at the moment where it feels right. We'll recall a couple years ago in the 23K when Joe Gray got off to a hot start, early lead, had a really healthy lead at the top of the mountain before Darren Thomas nearly ran him down on the descent. So an interesting story to just see the strengths and weaknesses of these athletes and where they play those cards. Here's Tabor Hemming.
Yeah, and we believe that Tabor Hemming alongside Anna Gibson are our race leaders. We're not sure who is in front right now, but we've got a camera on Tabor Hemming as she makes her way up this climb. She came out of a really successful collegiate running career at CU before they decided that, you know, they wanted to, both her and Eli wanted to mix it up, to get on the trails, to do something a little bit different, kind of tired of running in circles. They get to run in circles today, but they're bigger circles this time.
Yep. And it'll be really awesome to see these two great young Americans go and race on the European circuit. And we see Allie Mack for the first time.
Heck yeah,
Last
Allie
year's
Mack.
world champion in the vertical. Allie Mack had, I think, what she would classify as a disappointing couple of races at the World Championships last weekend in Innsbruck. And she was a late add to today's field in the 23K, taking the early lead from Tabor here on the climb. And this very much plays to Allie's strengths.
Yep, a good grinding uphill. We did see some of the men that they're running around switching between power hiking and running here, but if you can stay in that running motion, I think you're gonna gain a few steps here and there over the course of this. But you're right, I think that this climb definitely plays to Allie Mack's strengths, as we know her as a VK champion here. She runs downhill pretty darn good though too.
Very solid. Couple funny anecdotes about Allie. For those who follow her, you know that she's a bit of a daredevil, and last weekend after the vertical, she did sort of like a paragliding thing off the top of the vertical course in Innsbruck to fly back down into the valley. Even funnier story, I got a text from a friend, Rick Hesner, last week, who lives in Texas. I think they were in New Mexico, but he texted me, he was like, hey, I just met someone named Allie while I was doing a skydiving thing. I was like,
she's got some base jumping situation going on this summer.
I was like, dude, she's a world champion. He was like, yeah, she seems like an awesome gal. So shout out to Allie Mack, an awesome athlete, awesome person here in the early lead.
Yeah, I think we do believe that I think Anna Gibson is in front of both her and Tabor, getting that really fast start. So we do believe that our top three would be Anna Gibson, Allie Mack, Tabor Hemming right now on the women's side of things, which is, I think, about as expected. I think Allie adding herself back into the race yesterday afternoon, I think, was not a huge surprise, but definitely I think has a lot of us saying, okay, like, curious to see how she's feeling today out on course.
Very, very cool to see Allie jump into the race last minute. And yeah, awesome to see this early podium here between Anna Gibson, Allie Mack, and Tabor Hemming, which with, I'm sure, several more very strong women nipping at their heels on the opening climb. We just saw a quick visual of those bleachers and of the Jumbotron that I mentioned earlier. So we do have hundreds of trail fans here in the village as we cut back to the men's leaders here, Corrine.
Yeah, this looks like M's 1, 2, and 3, I think, on our screens right now. Eli Hemming, Chad Holland, did you catch?
I think that's the Nico guy.
Oh, another young trail team athlete, just graduated from
Stanford.
Okay.
Go Cardinal. So we'll make sure we get his last name. I'm pretty sure his first name is Nico. And there's Abraham Hernandez also there in the pack. He was 5th place in the vertical K on Friday. So Eli Hemming, Chad Hall, Nico, who we will identify here soon, and I'm sure people in the chat could help us out with that. And Abraham Hernandez here in the top 4. And again, I'm sure there is a train of gentlemen just behind them also in contention. And look at these guys work here. No conversation, no chit chat, head down, arms pumping. Sort of in that granny gear, charging up the hill. These guys are all working hard today. And big shout out to our follow cam runner. I'll try and get an idea on who that follow cam is so that we can give them a proper shout out by name here on the broadcast as we cut back to Tabor Hemming, who we think is in about 3rd place in the women's race here.
Yeah, and I guess part of the question is that we did see Anna Gibson at the front leading out of the gate there with the women's field. We don't know where Janelle Lynx was in that mix. Is Janelle also up in that group? We're not sure, but we do know that there's about that first place right now has about a 15-second gap over the chasing women at this point. So things are opening up a little bit.
And as we mentioned in the broadcast on Friday, okay, so it's Mikkel Baudin Rousseau. Thank
Mika, not Nico. Yeah.
Mika.
Is the Stanford
Excuse
grad.
me.
Yep.
And thank you to Liam. Thank you, AKA Aid Station Fireball, for always having great clarifications in the chat for us. So we look back further in the men's race here. There's Paddy O'Leary, the Irishman, coming past us. See if we can ID some of these other athletes as they come by.
Give a shout for those that you're watching. I know that there's a lot of significant others, parents, etc., friends, family watching in the chat. Give us a shout if you happen to see your runner come on by. I know that is why you are staring at these screens right now. I think we're looking to pick up our first female, though, is my guess in this group.
As we're waiting for the first female here, who we anticipate to be Anna Gibson, going back to what I was about to say just a second ago, Anna Gibson, of course, our vertical K champion. On Friday, she ran about, I think it was 90 seconds faster than Allie Mack did in the VK last year, although it was on a shortened course. Anna Gibson very much is in Allie's lead, in her category as a climber, it feels like.
Definitely.
So Anna Gibson, likely our early leader here in the women's
Camp
race.
10, Allie Mack.
Oh, here's Allie Mack in the lead. Unless we missed Anna Gibson, this is Allie Mack here in the lead of the women's race in the 23K.
So it sounds like we have confirmation, Allie Mack in the lead. Although it did in 2021, remember how long it took us to ID Janelle?
Yep.
Forever. So Allie Mack, I do believe you can see Tabor Hemming in that long shot there. That is the gap right now between Allie and Tabor at this junction. We'll try to get eyes on both Janelle Lynx and Anna Gibson because we do believe they will be in the mix today. Oh, Allie just giving out highs and hellos this morning as she charges along.
Man, she is looking strong. Allie Mack from Colorado Springs, Colorado, a decorated high school and collegiate athlete, went to the University of Colorado just like Tabor Hemming did. Off to an early lead as we approach 15 minutes into today's race. Corrine, my speculation, my guess is that we're going to see the men's leaders come through the first loop in probably 45 minutes, would you guess?
The winning time yesterday in the 11K was 56 minutes, I believe. And so
F3. So I'm just getting confirmation in my ear that this is Anna Gibson in third position. Anna Gibson, our VK champion on Friday. She went to the University of Washington, but grew up in Teton Village, Wyoming. So she is very much at home in the mountains. And it was awesome to talk to her here in studio after the VK about her love of trail running coming off of her collegiate track career.
Yeah, and this will be a long race for her coming off of 1,500 meter season. She's planning to race USA's in Eugene in just a couple weeks. So definitely she's trying to translate some of that track fitness, but she can see Tabor. So right now 1, 2, and 3 are all really tight together. Allie Mack, Tabor Hemming, Anna Gibson are your 1, 2, 3 in the women's race, and they can all see each other right now, which is pretty freaking huge.
All looking very strong here in the opening couple of miles.
And the
transitioning between the run and the hike as they hit this steeper slope here. Allie Mack, one of the best climbers in the world.
Yeah, and just to note, the 11K winning time in the men's race yesterday was 54:44.
See if we can get a split here. That was roughly
Oh, they're
15.
together.
Yeah.
Go get Allie.
So likely a 10 or 15 second gap here. Anna Gibson, Tabor Hemming sort of working together here. And again, each of these athletes has a different skill set and a different strong suit.
Yep.
So Allie Mack, obviously one of the best climbers in the world. Let's see if once they crest the top of the hill, if she's able to keep that lead on the descent.
Totally, and of these women too, she is the one who has the most experience in a range of distances as well. Anna Gibson, predominantly, obviously coming off track. She's done a number of VKs, a number of very short trail races. Tabor Hemming racing her first full season. She has done a 50K. She did Way Too Cool, which in her, I talked to her about it after our panel the other day, and she was like, that was a horrible experience. I'm not ready to do a 50K for a while. But, Allie Mack has played with that distance a little bit more, and so, a 20K, a 23K is going to be on the short, on her shorter end of the spectrum versus these other gals.
It looks like Janelle there in fourth, just behind Tabor Hemming.
This is, I love the tight, fast, short racing. But yeah, that is your 2021 champion, Janelle Lynx right now in 4th position, just behind Anna Gibson and Tabor Hemming, all within eyesight of one another.
Yeah, so strong. We're calling back to her 2021 victory.
She won in like a cotton tee crop top, and it took us forever to ID
Yeah,
her.
we were like,
standout
who
performance.
is this women's leader? And yeah, even the chat had a hard time identifying her, but Janelle Link's very much establishing herself as a great short course runner. She's done well, won several of the Circus Series races around North America as well. We've got a great athlete vignette we're going to throw it to now.
Colorado Springs, Colorado, though half of the time I'm on the road in the van with my dog.
I'm Andy Wacker, and I'm from Boulder, Colorado.
My name is Grayson Murphy. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, but I live and train in Flagstaff.
My name is Zach Hanna, and I'm going to be traveling over from Ireland.
My name is Tabor Hemming, and I'm from, I like to say, partial Colorado. No one knows where that is for sure.
My name is Morgan Elliott. I've been running since I was in 7th grade.
My name is Janelle Links, and my hometown is Thornton, Colorado. I'm living in Steamboat Springs right now.
My name is Eli Hemming. I am from Kremlin, Colorado, and I have been doing running in some way, shape, or form my entire life.
The biggest thing for me is people don't appreciate sub-ultra trail running. And I think we're at this amazing moment where people in the US are starting to really fall in love with it.
I think one of the biggest things I'm excited about where trail running is going is the media side. The fact that like LIVESTREAM is growing and people can tune in at home. Super, super exciting.
You can't beat the views. I think that's like I race in some of the coolest places in the world.
I think what's inspiring the most is that it's not an early age sport, that you have all these people coming from every walk of life. You have triathletes, you have non-runners, you have burned out collegiate runners, you have moms, and yet somehow they can all be running at the top, and like they all have different paths to get there.
There's a lot of things inspiring me at the minute. I would say the main thing is just it's great to see so many people are discovering how good trail and mountain running actually is compared to your traditional sports of track and road running. Especially here in Ireland, the people attending trail races now is bigger than ever before.
I think the biggest thing is looking for adventure. One of the things that drew me to the lifestyle of being a triathlete, and it was, I got to be out on my bike, I got to be out running, and I got to see all of the world. And then after a few years of doing it, I was going to the same places, staying in the same hotels, actually being out in the trails, seeing what the world has to provide everywhere in the world is just something that inspires me beyond all end.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a cold breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. The real stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real breakfast can do.
Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Nice keep talking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Don't tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
My name is Jeff Vierling, co-founder of Tailwind Nutrition. We make drink mixes for athletes to help you fuel, hydrate, and recover for all sorts of outdoor activities. Running, cycling, hiking, climbing, any sport where you're working up a sweat. We manufacture our own products in Durango, Colorado, and we test and use them on the trails of the beautiful San Juan Mountains. Our mission and our passion is to help athletes achieve their goals and to feel great while doing it. We couple proven nutrition that's simple to use, easy on your gut, and tastes great with encouragement and education. You can think of us as your support crew. We're right there with you doing whatever it takes to help you get across the finish line with a smile on your face.
Escape to a place where you can truly connect with nature, where crystal blue waters meet towering mountains, and picturesque landscapes make every season the perfect playground for world-class adventure. So dive in and feel what it's like to be on top of the world. Join us in preserving the natural beauty and take the Traveler Responsibility Pledge. Be mindful of others and save time using free transportation services like Tart Connect. Learn more at GoTahoeNorth.com.
Corrine Malcom during the 23K. I'm joined in studio by Maggie from Tailwind, and Courtney's supposed to be here, but she's running a little bit behind schedule, so we've got the next best thing. How are you doing?
Flat Courtney.
Flat Courtney.
Yeah.
How was the start line vibes? Oh my gosh.
Sorry, you guys.
Courtney DeWalter, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, is this working?
Yeah, you're on. You're live. You're live on TV. We've got the 23K going on the left-hand side of the screen. Us on the right. How was the start line?
It was cool. It was very electric this morning. Everyone, I think, with that extra time, just got more and more amped up.
Had more coffee?
Had more coffee, and it took off really fast.
I'm impressed with everyone's ability to adapt. So like an hour and a half later start gets like all more time for the nerves, and like everyone's a champ.
Yeah, the people I talked to, though, were very excited about the 2-lap course versus 1. No one seemed frazzled by it, so it'll be cool to see them come through the village at halfway and send them out for a second lap.
Yeah, we expect them to come through the village halfway, probably around 45 to 50 minutes into the race right now. So right now on our screen, you're seeing one of the upper aid stations. Speaking of aid stations, what's in the big tanks out there? What are they drinking on the course?
Tailwind endurance fuel.
Does it have anything to do with watermelons by chance?
We don't have watermelon on course, but we have DeWalter melon with lime at our booth. You can check us out. We're by the Salomon tent if you're here. And it's a special collab flavor we did with Courtney. She's been wanting to like help us make flavors for a while. And I feel like she just has this really refined palate, and we've developed this watermelon with lime.
Do you think
it's delicious?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think the refined palate comes from years and years of like gummy candy connoisseur?
Yeah, absolutely. I trained for that for sure, and did a lot of testing. The Tailwind flavors were they sent tons of versions, tons of different options, tons of concentrations that I tested with my husband Kevin until we finally landed on the perfect pairing of watermelon and lime. And I think it'll be perfect for big summer days, adventures, racing. It's so good.
That's so awesome. Is that what Kevin had out on course with him yesterday?
He did, yeah. It was his magic superpower where he crushed the 46K.
So we're trying to watch a follow cam and a follow cam runner follow Allie Mack on that little bit of snow. I heard from Kevin yesterday at the end of the race that he was wearing basically rain pant shorts and was legitimately catching people in the like luge butt slide section of the course. Is that a technique you would recommend to the runners out there today?
Yeah, absolutely. Cover them with WD-40 and send it.
Do you think that that is a technique that you will be bringing to the Western States course next week?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah?
You think
Up
there
in
will
the
be
high
some
country?
good luging?
I think there's not something quite as steep, I think, as what the runners are going to be out on today, but you're definitely going to have plenty and plenty of snow, I think, for those first 20 miles. a week from today, basically.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be done a week from today. You'll be like lounging on the track infield, I hope.
I think Salomon can actually advertise that the shorts make you faster.
Yeah,
Ooh,
he was
As
flying.
long as you're on your butt on snow.
Yeah.
Stamp, sealed, approved. Awesome. So where can people find you all out in the village today?
We are by the finish line near the pancakes. Donner Mountain Party runners are serving Kodiak pancakes. We're right next to them in the Salomon tent. So
amazing.
It's going to be super fun. Pancakes and DeWalter Melon with lime. I can't think of a better combination.
I'm really hopeful that you guys will bring some pancakes in for Dylan and I at some point in time. If we can request a pancake delivery, we're on board.
Yes.
On board for that.
Yes, absolutely. This is so exciting.
I love the flat Courtney. We were gonna have a flat Courtney and an angry Courtney and another Courtney, and I just didn't get the memo.
Many. No one needs that.
Yeah. So
I mean, this is kind of creepy.
We have 2 Courtneys at the booth at all times.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
At one point we had 3.
That is a little bit, there might be too many Courtneys.
They might blow away today. It's kind of windy in the village.
Yeah, people that are in the chat watching on YouTube at home, how many Courtneys are too many Courtneys? Yeah. I think that's what the people really need to decide.
Do we want to ask that though?
No, I'm not, well, it might be information that I hold hostage for a little while.
You can filter those comments.
Yeah, I think we can block them as we go along. Wonderful.
They said.
So psyched to see Courtney. Wonderful. So we will have people come out, take a taste test of the new watermelon lime flavor.
Cool swag Courtney had. We can tell a story about it. What it is Courtney's hallucinations, and they're all in drawing form. Our artist did it. It's awesome, and it's all of the little. I mean, you should be telling them this. But like, have you heard of puppets on a swing set? It's on there. We have T-shirts and hats.
My
and
personal favorite. What's the leopard?
Leopard in the hammock.
The famous OG hallucination.
It's pretty fun because I can remember the exact race that all of these were. So like the leopard in the hammock was at the Moab 240. Woman churning butter was at Run Rabbit Run. I mean, these are great friends I've made over the years, and we've now put them on bottles, hats, and shirts, which is really fun.
Yeah, so between that and short knees, everyone's gonna be your doppelganger, I think, out on the trails.
Perfect.
Awesome. We're gonna cut back out onto course. We're watching our men's leader, Eli Hemming, right now. We're gonna blow that up on the big screen. Thanks so much to Courtney and Maggie. We'll see y'all later.
See you.
Bye.
Sweating under these lights.
Courtney's sweating under these lights. Those athletes out on course are not sweating, I hope. I feel like they feel nice and cool out in the snow, but this is quite the shot. That red shirt, again, is the red shirt of the super, super fast Eli Hemming, new Salomon athlete. I'm trying to ID.
That's the Mika guy.
M2 is Mika, the Stanford grad. So two young, fast athletes out there hitting this snow section. Really, they got to stretch out their legs, though, it looked like, on that little bit of dirt that was really very, very fast. So very cool to see.
Chad Hall should be just behind them. I hope, is my mic back on, gentlemen?
Is.
Can people hear me? Good. Awesome. Great interview, Corrine. How awesome is it to have Maggie and Courtney in studio?
Pure chaos.
Check out this awesome shot.
Pure
Eli
chaos.
Hemming, Mika, and Chad Hall, our top 3 in the men's race here. All hands on knees in a particularly steep section of the course. It was awesome to see Allie Mack crest over the top of that hill. Anna Gibson, it seemed like, was probably 15, 20 seconds behind Allie Mack.
Yeah, she seemed to be moving really well on that super, super steep section. And again, she did mention to us that she feels like her climbing is really, really solid right now, and that she's a little bit concerned about the downhill section. I'm really curious to see what they look like out on that next descent that we're going to see kind of in this next section of the course. But right now, I believe that they are around, is this near the top of
This must be near the true summit is what I would guess, like the high point of the course, I should say. So yeah, which is KT 22.
Yep. And so we've had camera people out there since the crack of dawn this morning because they were prepared for a normal start time and the normal course, and they were up there giving us feedback that it was blowing super, super hard. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to get any aerial footage from this location or not, but I know that several camera runners and our drone pilot were hiking stuff up there as soon as we got the go-ahead.
So our viewing audience here, they are at roughly 8,000 feet of altitude here. So a guy like Mika, I think if he is a recent graduate of Stanford from the Palo Alto region, meaning he is from sea level. So is Chad Hall, living in San Diego. Eli Hemming does have the luxury of living in Boulder, Colorado, so he does have that altitude acclimatization advantage over the two men behind him. Eli Hemming is likely going to be cresting over the top of KT 22 here, and then he will have roughly 2.5 miles back down into the village to complete the first lap of the 23K here today. Again,
I think we're going to be looking at that that 50-ish minute mark or so for them to lap through the village. So if you can hear our voice, get excited. I think the men are going to be lapping through in about 15 to 18 minutes or so. But
as Eli breaks back into the run. So again, total stats of today's race is roughly 12 miles, roughly 4,500 feet of climbing. It is a double loop of the 11K course that runners navigated yesterday. If you're just joining us, we did have course alterations occur this morning due to very high winds here in the Sierra. But this, I think, is a great alternative, and certainly it hasn't impacted today's awesome broadcast coverage, especially this drone pilot. I was surprised. You can see how gusty it is up there.
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job, but it does sound like we have Zach Marion out on course that we're going to be able to throw to get a little bit of a course update when his audio is ready.
What is going on, everybody? I'm about 2K up course, halfway between the descent off KT 22 to the finish line. So we get to see one of the more technical sections of the course here. We are in snow cone country. This snow is soft. The sun is out. It is softening up this snow quite a bit. So there's going to be a lot of glissading down here. It's going to be some really intense coming down, running down this section, but then they get this road section down to the finish, and about 2K to go. It's going to be a technical runner's dream right here, and then it's going to be a fast runner's descent to the finish. So a lot can happen here. We're excited to see the athletes come through twice, and we're going to give you guys all of the information we can get as they come running through. We'll be able to see them from the saddle there all the way down almost to the finish.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much to Zach. And yeah, look at that snow coverage there, Corrine. It definitely is glissade country.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw some of the hype reel videos that came out of yesterday's race. The glissading form was really, really top notch out there. We had butt sliding, we had boot skiing. It was the full works of chaos. I think we've got some good cameras that we can get to out on course. Maybe cam 6.
Cam 5, actually. I just saw Allie Matt
Cam
come
4
through.
too is we've got that looked like Anna Gibson up on the ridge as well. So if we can, there we go.
Some great drone footage here. Tough to identify.
That's Zach Hanna for sure. That was the New Balance singlet there. So we're flipping through. We can see what you guys don't see is we see about 12 different monitors up in front of us, and we're going to start yelling out camera numbers to throw to. But this is your men's race leader right now, Eli Hemming.
And he is about to hit that descent here at KT 22. Eli Hemming rocking that bright red Salomon shirt. A big thank you to Salomon for being the presenting partner of Broken Arrow. And a beautiful day here in the Sierra, even with the high winds. It probably is pretty great running conditions up there, Corrine.
Yeah, I was gonna say the temperatures are pretty spot on. You've got that solar, which is gonna be a bit warm, but that wind is gonna cool things down. It's good to hear that the snow is softening up. When you get that wind combo, oftentimes it takes a little bit longer for that surface to soften with the high winds, but they are gonna be able to glissade super, super fast.
Okay, let's get a split here. About 5 seconds separating Eli Hemming from Mika.
And I guess the question here for me is like, who has, I mean, he looks really smooth on that little bit of snow, right? Like, it's handling that steep descent initially on the snow is technically challenging. It's not easy. There's Chad Hall there in third. They're all very close together.
Great camera angle here.
This is a great alternative course.
Yeah, so interesting. One of the small details that has occurred to me throughout the weekend is who's wearing sunglasses and who isn't, especially with all this
sunglasses should have been mandatory gear out there. You're gonna go, I mean, people were feeling like they were going snowblind with sunglasses on.
But these guys are so redlined that at least Eli didn't have time to put the shades on this morning. Tabor was wearing them at the start line.
Yeah, I think in the 46K, it was definitely they were on snow for a lot longer during that race. So I think that was definitely much more important versus this race. They're on snow for shorter periods of time, for sure.
Check out the gimbal runner trying to keep up with early race leader Eli Hemming.
I wouldn't want to.
Mika on his heels. I gotta say, Mika looks a little bit more smooth than Eli does here. It's obviously still pretty early, and it's difficult to really interpret body language here at this point, but that's just my subjective interpretation here. As we get to our follow cam, Eli Hemming still looking very smooth himself. I shouldn't be criticizing this great athlete in any way. As they navigate this tricky section where you have to kind of go back and forth between nice underfoot conditions and then more tricky on snow underfoot conditions.
And to be honest, flat snow to slightly uphill snow, I think is the worst for running on, right? It's very awkward, it's a little bit unpredictable versus downhill. I feel like that is like a straight up glissade. It's a little bit easier just to like let it roll, kind of flow with it. But the flat snow, I feel like feels really awkward when you're transitioning off and on it over the course of the trail.
We cut back to some of our mid-packers here. And Corrine and I do expect to be here in the studio for at least a few more hours. We haven't gotten confirmation on exactly when we'll end the broadcast today due to the delay, but we will definitely get to some coverage from the middle and the back of the pack as well. So if you're cheering for somebody or you're hoping to catch your athlete, please do stick around. We'll definitely get around to that after these elite athletes do finish. Another thing to mention here, which I'm not sure we've gotten around to, Corrine, is the prize money on the line this weekend. Broken Arrow. It's very significant, a $60,000 total prize package up on the line for the professional athletes in this weekend's race. I've got it up on my computer here, so let me just reference exactly what those numbers are so I get it accurate.
Such a great shot. They are
beautiful
flying.
Beautiful shot here. So the lead pack of three are sort of coming back together and consolidating. Again, going back to what I said earlier about who has what strengths. Eli, certainly one of the better uphill athletes in the world, now getting sort of swallowed up a little bit on the descent.
Well, one of those is a camera runner. Chad Hall is the fourth individual you just saw on screen. So it is Eli, Camera, Mika. And just to point out too, Mika is a 13:39 5K to his name. He just recently ran a 28:47 10K at NCAA West prelims back in May. Very, very fast.
Yeah, look at the gimbal camera runner there in what looks like second position.
Yep.
And then we've got Mika just behind the camera runner.
And then
Chad Hall a little further up, blending in with that white t-shirt against the snow. Going back to the prize package, Corrine.
And Mika just overtook the camera runner there.
Yeah. Going back to the That's Adam Loomis. We're getting a shout out to Adam Loomis, who is on the follow cam.
An Olympian in Nordic combined, just to point that out.
Just to, give you the credentials of the people who are able to follow these professional athletes as they cruise down the hill.
Snow is something he's very familiar with, though. Park City based. Ski jumping and Nordic skiing is the combination of his sport.
Okay, now getting back to the prize packages on the line today. First place for both men and women, 5,500 bones. Second place, 3,500 bones. Third place, $1,000. Fourth place, $750. Fifth place, $500. Paying 5 deep here today. Going back to the VK, the winner got $2,000. Second place, $1,500. Third place, $1,000. Fourth place, $300. And fifth place, $200. Again, a total prize package of over $60,000 on the line. A big thank you to Brendan Madigan and the Broken Arrow team for making that investment.
You've got Allie Mack on your screen now, still leading the women's race as F1. Before we flip to this image of Allie, Chad Hall was also closing to that group. They were coming back together. I think he was picking up Mika a little bit on the snow. Running up, SoCal has had plenty of snow this winter, so I think he's gotten his fair share of running up in like the Mammoth and like Big Bear area. But here is Allie Mack, your women's race leader, a previous champion at this race. She's done the Triple Crown, she's won the VK. I think she's actually won every single race here. So coming back in just the 23K this year after being in Innsbruck, Austria for Worlds last week, representing the US in the vertical and the classic up-down race there. We should have ski cams. Someone said, Matt in the chat, where are our ski cams?
Ski cams.
I think with the course alterations, we don't have enough continuous snow to really make that happen, but people were out there. I did see ski boots come off the mountain yesterday. So right now, the men have come back together. Chad Hall has picked up Mika, passing him. I think he's moving really well on the snow, as opposed to Mika, who's still moving obviously very fast. And then they are closing a bit to Eli Hemming. Allie Mack, though, is out in front. Let's see if we got audio. Oh. Okay, not near the rock. We're fine. We'll see if Zach Marion's checking on him, it sounds like.
So it looks like the lead athletes have come
Awesome.
past Zach.
Thank you guys for bringing it back. We have all the men's action up front here. We had our top 3 men. We had Eli, we had Chad, and we had our Stanford guy out there, all within a split second of each other. They looked fantastic. Chad was making some moves once we hit the road off of here. Eli looked like he was enjoying the technical sections. So it'll be fun to see what happens as they make their way back around. And it was about 45 seconds between those 3 and the next 3 athletes. We're going to stay camped here looking for women's leaders. We'll catch you guys once they come back through.
So Zach is going to be seeing Allie Mack come through that snow section here momentarily. Going back to Allie Mack's season from last year, what an incredible output of racing she had. Wow.
Anna Gibson,
Gibson,
not that far back.
Certainly still in contention here, chasing down Allie McLaughlin, your double medalist at the World Championship in 2022, a gold medal in the vertical and a bronze medal in the up-down race last year. She was also one of the only people to beat Ninka Brinkman head-to-head last year at the Golden Trail World Series final. She got the better of Ninka Brinkman, who certainly is one of the most interesting and compelling athletes in the world. Allie Mack proving that she is in that league as well, and Anna Gibson very much hoping to assert herself into that category as well.
Yeah, so excited to see athletes like Anna Gibson coming into the sport right now, adding some more excitement and some more spark. Really, the women, I mean, both fields are absolutely insane. There are going to be some races this year where we're going to see the likes of Allie Ostrander, Grayson Murphy, Allie Mack, Anna Gibson all together, and it's going to blow my mind.
So it looks like Chad Hall has now assumed the lead. Eli Hemming still on his wheel there. And in no sign of Mika. He's probably only a second or 2 behind where our drone is picking up here. But these are our lead 2 men.
And I mean, obviously Eli comes from a fast running background as well, but you have someone like Chad Hall who dedicates a large portion of his year every year to hitting things like the Olympic trial standard in the marathon, et cetera. So I feel like this section of course, this really fast downhill into the turnaround point, and then that opening road section to get back to that initial climb is really going to suit someone like Chad Hall very, very well.
It's such a good point, Corrine. Just like the leg speed, taking advantage of that leg speed on the descent.
Look at Allie Mack fly. Oh my, this is the Mount Marathon Allie Mack that we saw last
down
July.
The mountain, recklessly letting the legs turn over. Allie Mack looking absolutely like she is pulling out all the stops, taking advantage of gravity.
Base jumper Allie Mack right now.
Trusting her instincts, base jumper, exactly. She is in her element, a risk taker at her core.
She's going to be overtaking humans on this section of the course for sure.
Love it.
Follow her. Wow, it made that section look really, really smooth.
Check, can you hear me? Everything good?
I think we've got Zach
Keep
Marion
going. Check,
in our ears.
Allie is hauling ass down this mountain.
And we're back on that aerial image of Chad Hall leading Eli Hemming down the road. They're going to be coming into the village here in the next couple of minutes. If you are in the village, get ready for our lead men to be coming through to head out on lap 2. We predicted between 45 and 50 minutes likely on the clock for that lap, you know, kind of being 4 to 5 minutes ahead of the 11K winning time yesterday, given the quality of this field. Actually, one of our camera guys is the gentleman who won. We can actually see him. I can see Chad Hall out our windows here in studio. I can see Eli Hemming coming down the road here. They are absolutely flying. They're going to lap through the village here in the next 90 seconds. So if you can hear my voice in the village, let's go give them a huge shout in the village.
Look at Chad Hall, folks, looking super smooth here. Beautiful blonde hair tied up in a ponytail, bringing the SoCal vibes, very much looking San Diego out there as he comes through the first lap in the lead of the men's race. And look at the energy, electric, as Courtney DeWalter mentioned here in studio. Geez, I'm starting to think they should reroute this route every year, Corinne. Isn't this awesome?
I mean, the high parts of the course are really, really cool, but this year getting this double lap format is something really special.
They run through a stadium on the first lap, get that refresh of energy and that adrenaline before they head back out for another 11K of suffering up on the mountain. Eli Hemming probably 4 or 5 seconds behind race leader Chad Hall, and it looked like Nico was probably another 5 seconds behind Eli. Still anybody's race. Going back to 2021, Corinne, when we saw Joe Gray and Darren Thomas in the finishing chute together, separated by only 2 seconds at the finish line, shaping up to be something similar to that today.
Yeah, and our only actual split from the course, besides them coming back into the finish line, is going to be when they come through Snow King, which will be in about 2 miles from this location. So we'll get a split. Oh, we got a village split, actually. So Chad Hall officially has that village split. We'll get that exact split back to Eli Hemming here momentarily. But then we'll see them 2 miles into the next week.
Back to Allie Mack on the snow here.
Flying.
Absolutely flying. You can see just up ahead where that snow line will end, and she'll be greeted mercifully by the dirt road, where she'll have a little bit smoother sailing all the way back through the start-finish area where you saw the lead men just pass through. Allie Mack, about 48 minutes elapsed.
Legit so happy right now. She said that part of the reason she decided to run today was that she had gone out during the VK and like gotten to glissade on some of the snow, and she was like, wow, that was actually really fun. I think I can do the 23K. I want to have some of that fun out there. So Allie Mack will be coming down the road here in just a couple minutes into the village as well, but we're gonna get updated splits.
We can see her coming down the hill here. From where Corinne and I sit in studio, we can hear the cowbells ringing. Allie Mack not that far behind the men's leaders here today. You can see her waving to her adoring fans. Always has that trademark smile on her face.
There's Tommy Runs out there getting the footy.
He's probably live on the Ultra Sign Up Instagram account right now. So shout out to Tommy Runs, shout out Ultra Sign Up again. What the fuck? Grateful
the team
for their
behind the
operation.
production here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll actually get to see her out our window here in just a little bit. She's still a little ways above us. The camera person's gonna go back to try to pick up Anna Gibson.
Do you have splits from further back in the men's race?
Yeah, so we have 4 official through the village. They're a little bit delayed. We've got Chad Hall, followed 8 seconds later by Eli Hemming at the village split. It looks like that they have flip-flopped again going into this climb. Clearly, someone's running one thing better than the other.
Exactly.
This is Eli's chance to create some separation between himself and Chad Hall, because he knows that Chad is running really, really well on that downhill. Mika third, about 15 minutes back of Chad Hall through the village split. And then the young Italian, Henry Amandand of Italy, he's about 2 minutes behind Chad. And then Talon Hall, Seattle, Washington, young Brooks athlete, who I feel like really hasn't shown us his actual potential yet. Like, he's really, really talented, but hasn't hit a race. I think his capabilities came through as M5. He's only 4 seconds out of 4th right now.
Amazing.
So tight men's field, 2 minutes.
In just a second, we're going to throw it up to David Callahan from Ultra Sign Up on the course. Before we do that, I just want to say, Corinne, to emphasize for the audience here, Eli Hemming very much needs to play his cards now. He knows that the uphill is his strength. He will know now that for Chad Hall, the downhill is Chad's strength. So if Eli wants to win this race, which he very much does after finishing 2nd place a million times seemingly in the 2022 season, he knows he's got to make his move here. Let's throw it up on the course to David Callahan.
Hey, Dylan and Corinne, hope y'all are doing well. Beautiful stuff up here. Thrilled to be up here watching these people sort of climb this last climb as they head to the top. They've been climbing now for about 3 miles, and so we're just thrilled that Ultra Sign Up production can bring this real life action to people around the world. You know, these people race this course. They tell the stories when they go home, but it's just totally different to be able to get out here on course and see what these people are going through, seeing these people discover a little bit more about themselves with each step. So we're just thrilled to be out here, loving, cheering everybody up this mountain. Smile, wave to mom, come on, smile. So we're just thrilled that Ultra Sign Up production team's done an amazing job on this day. So back to you, Dylan and Corrine. Thanks a lot.
So that is David Callahan, one of the leaders of ultrasignup.com. Great guy. It's been awesome to get to know him over the last couple of years. He, his partner Jay, and the whole UltraSignup team are really doing great things for the sport and really taking that platform to new heights. Again, it's always been the go-to resource for race registration, for race result database, and now getting into the media and broadcast game. It is so good for the sport. As we look now for women's race leader, Allie McLaughlin, who should be screaming through the village here momentarily in the lead before she heads out on the second lap.
Yeah, she'll be down here momentarily. We have
so many good shots on our screen here up in front of us.
How do you choose right now? We've got I can see Eli Hemming. I can
We're gonna see Allie
Mika.
Mack.
We're going to see Allie here. Allie's screaming down this hill. She's running so fast.
So Allie Mack will likely make her way through lap 1 in just over 53 minutes, I would guess.
Yeah, that puts her about 5 minutes or so behind, or I guess, yeah, a little bit more than that, probably 7 to 8 minutes or so behind the men's lap through there.
Corrine and I can see Allie Mack coming through the window here from where we sit in studios. We cut back to Eli Hemming, your men's leader in the opening mile of the second lap, followed closely behind by Chad Hall from San Diego.
It just occurred to me, actually, Liam, Aviation Fireball in the chat said that Chad Hall is also going over to Marathon du Mont Blanc. So I did not know that.
Right.
So excited to see Chad make that like truly international trail debut. Like that to me is very, very exciting.
So exciting. I think we all feel, especially after last season, seeing what Chad Hall was able to do, getting excited to see him race on the international circuit as well. Looks like probably 7 to 10 second gap now separating Eli and Chad. Chad very much trying to hang on to the wheel of Eli Hemming, one of the best climbers in the world.
It's so loud outside right now because Allie Mack is lapping through the village. Like it is deafening to our left-hand side. Just outside these windows, people are going berserk right now.
And we've cut to Allie Mack coming through town here with a cameraman in tow, looking super strong. And I think if you're Allie Mack, you have to feel pretty good about maintaining your lead at this point in the race. Obviously, we've mentioned it many times now, Allie Mack, one of the best pure uphillers in the world. So if she has a vulnerability, it is on the descent. So leaving the village here, going back into a very steep climb back up to the top of the KT22 summit, Allie Mack will likely be able to hold on to that lead given her pedigree as a pure climber, and it's all going to come down to whether or not she can hang on the descent. But Allie Mack looks like she's got a pretty healthy lead coming through the village on lap 1. We'll get an accurate split as soon as we can back to the rest of the women's lead pack that we know includes Anna Gibson, Tabor Hemming, Janelle Lynx, and others. Cutting back to Chad Hall here in the white top, the beautiful blonde man bun.
I thought everyone had holes cut into the back of their shirts, and I realized it's just mud from the early part of the course. But yes, we do have our top. We can kind of run through our top 10 men coming through lap 1. Again, leading through there was Chad Hall, Eli Hemming, Mika Badone-Rousseau, Henry Amando, Talon Hall, Pat Parcell, Abraham Hernandez, the VK winner, Andre Roston, Raul Sanchez, and Zach Hanna were our top 10 men. They're separated by just about 3 minutes or so from 1st to 10th right now. So lots can happen in the second lap. I do think that we will see some movement in that men's field as they make their way up the second climb. It is really hard to turn it back on to climbing legs after you've just bombed a big descent.
Yep. A little further back, Garrett Corcoran, one of the, I think, more interesting athletes in the sport right now.
Just outside the top 10.
Yeah, just outside the top 10. A little further back, guys like Morgan Elliott, Patty O'Leary, Alex King, and Allie Mack sitting in 22nd overall through lap 1.
And I imagine she's going to be moving up a little bit on lap 2 in that overall position. Yeah, so the 2 splits we get from course is Snow King, which is 2.1 miles into the loop, and then when they come to the finish line, let's see who we project to be behind Janelle Lynx there. We do think that behind Janelle Lynx, sitting probably in the 5th and 6th positions, are going to be the likes of Sarah Willett, who again was on the VK podium just on Friday morning, the athlete out of Great Britain. Carly Rempel's going to be in that mix. Rachel Mao is going to be in that mix. Gabrielle Ori, Anna Doobie, Chessa Adsett-Morris, Rachel Drake. We're kind of picturing those are going to be part of that 5th through 10th position in the women's field.
So here's Mika still on Chad Hall's wheel. We've just received confirmation that there's less than 20 seconds separating our top 3 men. And Eli Hemming very much trying to put the hurtin' on these 2 guys, knowing that he needs to arrive at the top of KT 22 to give him a chance to hold off men with the leg speed of these 2 characters here in Mika and Chad Hall.
Yeah, I think all 3 of these guys have immense leg speed. They all definitely have different skill sets. We did see Mika struggle, I think, on that downhill in the snow. Obviously, that is, if you're unfamiliar with it, it is really, really awkward. Zach Hanna moved back from, I think, 4th or 5th down to 10th in that section as well. It's really, really awkward to keep your footing, etc. But right now, yeah, you've got Eli Hemming doing his darndest to put as much time between him and these 2 men chasing him as possible. I do think, though, if Chad Hall can see Eli heading into that snow, it's going to be really, really tight.
It's going to be a race.
I do wonder if someone like Eli Henning might take a little bit more risk than he did on lap 1 or something on the snow in lap 2. Unsure if it's tactic versus technique and ability, but it's going to be, the men's and women's races are going to be a battle to the finish line.
I just saw Mika there trying to catch a glimpse down the mountain, down those switchbacks to see what his gap is back to 4th and 5th place, and all the super talented men that are certainly giving chase for podium contention here in the 2nd lap. Mika still looking strong here again. Likely living in the Bay Area still, a recent Stanford graduate from the reports that I heard. So again,
curious to get more intel.
Yeah.
If you have more intel on Mika, besides his Stanford running pedigree, slide into the live chat on YouTube. Would love to hear more background on this guy in 3rd place position right now.
And speaking of that too, and I'm sure Liam Tryon can help us out with this. I'm pretty sure Chad Hall ran like a 102, like a 62-second half marathon 62-minute half marathon earlier this year. So Chad Hall, again, the brother of the great Ryan Hall, great pedigree in his family. Insane leg speed, bringing it to the trails and the mountains.
Yeah, and important to note, while someone like Eli Hemming does live at altitude, we know that Chad Hall does train at altitude quite a bit, and according to our Strava intel gathered by Aid Station Fireball, Mika here as well has been getting into the Sierra, getting up to altitude, while technically has been living at sea level in kind of the South Bay area, going to Stanford, he has regularly or routinely gotten up into the mountains a bit. So that is good. That's going to put him in a good place for, going 22K pace at altitude is like my worst nightmare.
Absolutely. So,
only worse than that would be VK pace.
Yeah. While we wait to get the camera back on the lead women as they begin lap 2, we're going to throw it back down to the village to the great Courtney DeWalter.
Ready. Jesse, what's up? What's going on, man? Getting that butter smoke going on. You know it. It's Pam smoke today, but...
Hey guys, we're over here at Donner Party Mountain Runners making some Kodiak flapjacks for anyone and everyone. They're free. Come on over and grab some. I'm doing the very important work of taste testing these bad boys. Golden brown, hot and delicious, plenty of syrup to share. Woo-wee. Oh, sorry, that was rude. I love pancakes. I love them loaded with syrup. I think if I could choose between pancakes and waffles, I'm going pancakes all day, every day. Would you like some?
I love waffles myself, but I love pancakes as well. We've got a couple comments coming in on the live stream.
Oh boy.
For you, Courtney. Do you think you could outrun a bear?
Can I outrun a bear? I sure hope so. And if I can't, I hope I'm with someone who can't even worse.
It's always just better to be faster than the slowest person.
That's what they say.
Is there any race distance you think a bear would beat you in?
Any race distance a bear could beat me in. Ooh, let's throw that to the live stream. Human versus bear. What do you think? Who's winning? I think I maybe could take a bear if we're going for 200 miles. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Trail runners are a weird lot. The next question is a bit different. Would you rather be stuck in a SeaWorld-sized tank with a great white shark or a knee-high river with a large anaconda? Your only weapon is a machete.
Anaconda in a river or great white in a swimming tank? I'm going anaconda in the river so I can use my feet instead of having to doggy paddle my way around. I don't know though, that's a tough one. I'd love to hear your answers in the live stream for that as well.
Got anything coming for Dylan and Corrine?
Dylan and Corrine, we're bringing you some hot, tasty flapjacks. I hope you like syrup because I'm making them the way I like them.
Oh my goodness, pancakes on delivery. I did
Give
make
me
her
some
promise.
flapjacks. Come on, don't those Kodiak cakes have some protein in them too? Or
They
something
do.
like that?
They're extra delicious. We buy our mix from Costco.
Oh,
That's our Kodiak cakes.
All right, great intel in the chat here from Liam Tryon. Mika ran a 32:41 ascent on Mount Tam 2 weeks ago. That's
Ooh.
the fifth fastest Mount Tam ascent of all time.
That is a fast Tam.
And Mount Tam is probably the mountain that's been time trialed more than any other mountain in the world. As we look back at Allie Mack, speaking of time trialing uphill, man, she looks smooth, Corrine.
She looks so smooth, and we've got updates of our top 6 women through the village, so we've got to give that to you. So Allie's got actually a pretty big gap. She's got about 90 seconds or so over Anna Gibson in second. Tabor Hemming in third, about 45 seconds behind Anna. Janelle Lynx is only about 12 seconds, though, behind Tabor Hemming. So Tabor and Janelle are super close together. And then Sarah Willett is bringing up that fifth position, in the women's field today. My live tracker keeps switching over to the men's race.
Wow.
Apologies.
I mean,
but yeah,
90 seconds. I mean, that's a pretty remarkable lead for Allie to have through that first lap. I think near at the top of KT, it looked like it was more like 20. So as she was falling down the mountain, skydiving down the mountain, as we were joking about just a few minutes ago, it seems like Allie Mack was able to gain a greater advantage on the downhill, which was probably unexpected.
But tons of cool young talent in this women's race. Back in 10th position is Andy Cornish, 22 years old, Jackson, Wyoming. Maybe chasing in Anna Gibson's footsteps there. So really, really cool to see. We've got Gabriel Ori of New York, of Orchard Park, New York, 24 years old, sitting in 8th position. Rachel Mao sitting in 7th. Really, really cool. Anna Doobie sitting in 6th. She ran the VK as well on Friday. So yeah, really, really fast group of women have made their way through the halfway point down here in the village, but Allie Mack is out front by quite a ways at this point.
Allie Mack charging up the hill here.
From going to not being sure if she was going to race to currently leading the race by 90 plus seconds is an Allie Mack move, and I'm really excited to see it from her.
Absolutely. Always races with heart. You see her pumping the arms uphill.
I can't wait to see her dog join her at the finish line.
Yeah. So Allie McLaughlin firmly in the lead of the women's race. 90 seconds may not sound like a lot, but in a race of this distance, 90 seconds is a pretty commanding lead so far as she makes her way back up the hill. And to me, Corrine, it is surprising to see somebody like Allie McLaughlin with the skill set that, at least, from my perception, is very much as a pure uphill athlete. I mean, obviously she's great at the downhill, but to gain an advantage over somebody like Anna Gibson on the descent.
Which I think was our question going into Mount Marathon last year, where we're like, we know Allie can charge this uphill. How is she going to do compared to the Alaskans, compared to the Nordic skiers who have trained on this mountain, who have done this race before? That was my big question.
Yeah.
Unfazed.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Broke the course record at Mount Marathon.
Yeah, over the likes, of Emily Forsberg, Allie Ostrander, et cetera. So
true. What a great point, too. Thanks for reminding me about that. I think, maybe the more technical, the scarier the descent is, the better it is for Allie as a daredevil, as a skydiver, as a base jumper, and all the other adrenaline sports that Allie takes part in. I know she's like a dirt biker and things like that too. So Allie
Yeah.
McLaughlin, a great character in the
She was paragliding in Innsbruck. She's going to paraglide, I think, when she's over for OCC UTMB week come the end of August. I heard she had some plans to base jump off a bridge in the area. You know, she's a busy gal.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But yeah, she is making this uphill look like it is nothing right now. Allie Mack, I know that she wanted to come here for the community. She wasn't sure if she was going to make it here. She wasn't sure if she wanted to be here after kind of a tough week over in Innsbruck, just not quite where she wanted to be, I think, in her mental framework more than anything. And during the panel yesterday, I said, hey, Allie, we were so happy that you made the decision to come here, even if you weren't going to race, just to come see your people. And clearly, she's doing just fine.
Yeah. Let's go back to that because I think that's worth talking about, right? Like her going to the World Championships where she performed so well last year and being a little bit disappointed here in 2023. I just wanted to go back to this text message I referenced a little while ago from my friend Rick, who bumped into Allie Mack. He said in text to me, ran into a mountain running girl you know named Allie Mack from the Springs. We were paragliding at the same spot in Salt Lake City. So one of those small world moments where a friend of mine bumped into Allie Mack as they were both paragliding in Salt Lake City, Utah. Really awesome person, awesome character, and obviously a really awesome athlete, Allie Mack from Colorado Springs.
Yeah, someone said Mac Attack, one of my favorite runners. So nice in person. That is true. She is. I was talking to someone yesterday and they said one of the things I love about Allie Mack is that you get the exact same Allie Mack no matter what situation you're in. Like she is just authentically her, and I think that rings true. I think we see it in her running. I think we see it in her personality and how she presents herself in the community with her friends and with other people in the public eye. So Allie Mack currently running away from the women's field. It does seem that Anna Gibson has survived the downhill, in which she was a little bit nervous of, holding her own with trail, more trail experience.
Eli's got a gap now, folks. He is very much pressing the gas pedal here, making his way back up to the top of KT22. I would speculate we'll try and get an accurate split here, but probably 20 to 30 seconds on Chad Hall here on the second climb. Eli Hemming very much playing his cards now, knowing that this is his shot to take the victory here today in the 23K. Again, Eli Hemming, the young, great former triathlete from Boulder, Colorado. His wife Tabor also in contention for podium position here in the women's race, as they both use this as a warm-up for the Mont Blanc Marathon next weekend in Chamonix.
Yeah, and hopefully this snow, this downhill prep makes them both feel extra confident going into Mount Marathon, which will take place just about a week after the Mont Blanc Marathon. So quite the triple, those 3 back-to-back race weekends that they're about to embark on. Really love getting to follow their story. They're both just exceptional human beings on and off the track and trails. Coming through this age, he's going to take a moment, I think, to get something in that bottle, perhaps. We'll see if he stops for anything or not.
This is interesting too, right? You know, he's
Blowing
very
on
much
through.
redlining here, but he knows this is his shot. Any seconds spent wasted idling at an aid station are seconds he can't spare. So sometimes you do have to make those calculated decisions, take those calculated risks. Do you forego the aid station to help maintain the lead and potentially run out of fluids, electrolytes, and fuel on the descent? Of course, this is a 23K race. It's a little less dangerous than skipping races and 100-milers or those sorts of ultra-distance events. Eli Hemming blasting through that aid station there.
That got asked in the women's panel yesterday from the question, or the nutrition panel. Question from the audience was, said, do you guys stop at every aid station? And Rachel Drake said, my first 50K, I stopped at every single aid station. And then I got to the last aid station, and this woman just went blowing by me. And I was like, wait, what? That's not fair. And she's like, now I'm a little bit more selective about when I stop and when I don't stop. But Eli Hemming making his way over the top of the course. We do have an official split from him. He came through that Snow King aid station, mile 8.3 at 1:09:14 on the clock, hammering. So the next question is going to be, how much of a gap does he have on Chad Hall, on Mika, as they make their way to that same aid station? Probably in the next 30 to 90 seconds is my guess, pending what we saw earlier on the course.
Yeah, and one of the things that Eli mentioned on our panel yesterday was just how satisfying last year was, but also how frustrating it was for him in some ways, finishing second place several times. He finished second here at Broken Arrow in both the VK and the 23K. Corrine and I were talking about on Friday the incredible battle that he engaged in with Cam Smith in the VK last year, where the two of them went toe-to-toe basically all the way to the finish line. And then I think he finished, it was probably like 45 seconds back of Andy Wacker in the 23K last year. A double second place, certainly something to be proud of, but also a little frustrating for somebody like Eli Hemming, who certainly has all the skill, talent, and ambition to win these high-level races. He also finished second at the Whiteface Mountain Race over on the East Coast. He finished second at the Rut. He finished second at the Flagstaff Sky Peaks, part of the Golden Trail World Series, as we cut back to Anna Gibson.
Yeah, Anna Gibson on your screen again. She's got that Trail Team logo on her crop. Again, that's that group that Andy Wacker has started, trying to bring young crossover athletes into the sport. So again, athletes that are going to compete in multidisciplinary sports. They're going to compete on the road, the track, etc. Coming into trail, they're going to compete as Nordic skiers, as cyclists, etc. Coming into the trail. So really excited to see what Andy has put together there. Mika is also kind of part of that crew as well, coming up as these crossover athletes, these young talents. So right now on your screen, yeah, Anna Gibson, she knew that she could climb really well. She felt really confident in her climbing ability, though she said she surprised herself during the VK, being able to take that win. She said, I'm not sure about my downhill ability, but clearly she's hanging with the big dogs.
Hanging with the big dogs. I think it's important to say a few more words about this. I mean, we just mentioned Andy Wacker being the champion of the 23K in last year's race, taking the initiative, taking the leadership role to really identify and mentor and nurture the next generation. I think is a really admirable thing. Looks like Eli's got a pretty solid gap now on Chad Hall.
There is Chad Hall. Let's see if we can get...
Going back to this trail team thing and Andy Wacker, it's great to see him really like taking that initiative and trying to grow the sub-ultra category of trail running here in the United States. Corinne's got some great splits.
Yeah, so the splits right now through that 8.3 mile mark, Eli Hemming came through there in 109.14, 110.55 on the clock for Chad Hall. So again, that was about that 90-ish second or so mark. Mika is about another 30 seconds behind Chad Hall. So that's 1, 2, and 3 through the Snow King 8.3 aid station. So right now it's really mostly downhill for these guys. They have a little bit of this KT 22 climb, and then they're going to really bomb the descent. But Eli is going to be trying to run every single step he can on this section wherever he can to try to increase as much daylight between him and Chad Hall. Chad Hall is not letting up whatsoever. He is still hammering this section. He's passing through, lapping through runners who are still currently on their first lap of the race. They've moved over to give him some room to come by. And Mika is not that far behind him. They had about 30 seconds at the aid station, and now it seems a little bit tighter than
Let's talk about the head game here, because Eli obviously has his foot on the pedal, right? And he knows that he is earning this gap now up to 100 seconds, which is actually pretty substantial here in the opening couple of miles of the second lap here at the 23K. He knows that this is his shot. If you're Eli off the front, gaining the gap, what are you thinking here, Corinne?
You're thinking go, go, go. You're racing. In my mind, it's not even like racing like... I like to race scared in this situation, and that's not a negative thing. Racing scared means that I can't lose a single second because every single second counts. That's like the mentality that comes in from a lot of like that triathlon world, that Nordic ski world, where you're like, every second counts, every second costs me positions, many positions potentially. And so that's what you're seeing from someone like Eli Hemming. Every second counts. While he knows he's strong, he knows the guys behind him are strong, and that's going to actually motivate him to get the most out of himself on this downhill.
And he's probably thinking, this is my shot. No more second places.
Yeah, second twice in 2022 in the VK and the 23K.
Among others. And here's Anna Gibson, speaking of second place in the women's race. F2, Anna Gibson, 24 years old, from Seattle, Washington, by way of her hometown, Teton Village, Washington. Again, at home in the mountains, even though she is currently having just completed her senior season at the University of Washington in Seattle. Anna Gibson, your VK champion on Friday, doubling back in second place here today as she makes her way up this massive climb here on the second loop.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to have to do here momentarily is cut to a quick commercial break before we come back live to bring you our men on that descent and catching back up with Allie Mack as well. So don't go anywhere, stay right with us and get into the live chat. Let us know who you are rooting for.
Escape to a place where you can truly connect with nature, where crystal blue waters meet towering mountains, and picturesque landscapes make every season the perfect playground for world-class adventure. So dive in and feel what it's like to be on top of the world. Join us in preserving the natural beauty and take the Traveler Responsibility Pledge. Be mindful of others and save time using free transportation services like Tart Connect. Learn more at GoTahoeNorth.com.
You know, of course, being a competitive person, like, yeah, I want to come win. But that has not been the first thing on my mind about Broken Arrow. Coming there, there's a lot of people that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to be in the village with everyone roaming around with Harley. Love the mountains in that area.
I'm just coming back from an injury, which means a couple things. It means I need to be patient.
I think it's, for me, definitely like a bucket list race that I want on my resume.
Because the vertical suits me more, that'll be the one I'll be looking to probably do better in. But the mindset doesn't change for the 23K, because I think, you know, there's World Cup points available, and, you know, there's a good opportunity here for me to show what I can do on the US circuit against the best in the US.
My motivation for being out there this year is just to see what I can do, enjoy the course, enjoy being in a different place, and to have an opportunity to run with some of the best runners in the world.
Yeah, try to win. Go out hard in the VK. You know, some people might hold back or what say you, but I mean, if I'm in contention, I'm gonna push hard.
So I've been dealing with Achilles pain for a lot of years. So I ended up getting surgery for that over the winter. One, you need to be slow. You need to make sure you're really strong. I've been in the weight room a lot to get ready for races and doing a lot of things just to rehab, but also to be extra strong.
I think it caters well to my strengths because there are parts that you can run pretty quickly.
What really helps me at the Broken Arrow course is that after you get to the top, it's pretty much all downhill.
I really don't change my training for trail running from the road stuff. The goal is just to get as fast and as fit as I can, and then I can put it on whatever surface I want to.
This last spring, I learned to paraglide and base jump. In turn, like now when I'm at a starting line, it's not quite as scary for me. Even in my last race, I remember thinking before the downhill, I don't know, base jumping came in my head, and I just like kind of like grabbed for my pilot chute. It's all mental, really.
My weaknesses can be to take it out a little bit strong.
I think I might, I'm gonna bring a few pair of shoes. It depends on how much snow there is. But I might put some spikes in the bottom of my shoes. We'll see.
Honestly, I think Broken Arrow is a pretty decent race for my strengths. lots of climbing, love the climbing, and the downhill is fast. And I think going back to the triathlon days when I was running on the road so much, you need that leg speed.
I hope to accomplish that. I'll come back to Ireland here with World Cup points on the board. Be able to say that I have travelled out to America to compete in Broken Arrow. There's not too many Irish runners can say that, so it's definitely going to light a fuel for the fire that it won't be the last time I visit.
And welcome back in studio here at the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace 23K presented by Salomon. I'm Dylan Bowman, joined by Corrine Malcom as we continue to watch men's leader Eli Hemming absolutely charging up the hill.
Flying, and he's, you know, with him lapping through the field, you saw him there. There's kind of like a nicer path where most of the field is, and he's running in the looser, chunkier stuff. Some of them are moving over to give him a little bit more of a direct line. But what we were just looking at here in studio is how tight positions M4 through M7 at the Snow King aid station were. There's about 15 to 17 seconds separating Henry, Talon, Garrett, Pat Parcell. What a tight group of men racing through those 4th through 7th positions. This downhill is going to be a big decision maker.
Yeah. And one of the things you and I were just talking about is Garrett Corcoran. He was 11th coming through the first lap, now making his way up into 6th. He very much views himself as a great uphill runner as well. It's something we talked about on our panel yesterday ahead of today's race. Garrett Corcoran, again, the top American in the short trail world championship in Innsbruck last weekend, where he finished 14th place, currently sitting in 6th. Let's see if he can continue to move through the field.
Yep, Allie Mack as well has also moved up a couple positions from the bottom. She came through the bottom in 22nd overall. She's currently up into 19th overall, making her way through that Snow King aid station at mile 8.3 in 1:20:48 on the clock. So she just came through there all about 2 minutes ago and change. So the question is, where is Anna Gibson? Because it looks like right now that lead has extended at the front of the women's field.
Also noticeably absent is Andrea Rostin, so our men's VK winner from Italy, who really impressed both Corinne and I and all of our viewing audience on Friday when he won that vertical race convincingly in very impressive fashion. I was expecting him to be one of our favorites, one of our contenders here today. He is outside the top 20.
Yeah, as well as like Liam Myro as well, who I don't know what happened on the first lap. I'm not sure what's going on out there, but yeah, another guy that was just 13th or 14th at Worlds in the Classic Up-Down, who we do know is fast on the road. Late decision to come race this event, not sure what's going on, but yeah, him as well, way, way back in the field.
Eli Hemming absolutely motoring. You can see the effort on his face now.
Getting his shoes wet, having to make those moves.
Again, Eli Hemming picked up by Salomon at the end of last year alongside his wife and partner, Tabor Hemming, joining the Salomon team, the presenting partner
Watching
of Broken
him navigate that a little bit, right? Little pats there, little pats to get by people. They I mean, everyone in this sport is pretty darn nice, but the Hemming duo are pretty much as sweet and as nice as they get.
It seems like it's probably pretty cool for those who are still out on lap 1 to be able to see the leaders come through on lap 2. It's one of the advantages potentially of dealing with this race adjustment here today. And if you are just joining us, I guess we should repeat. In today's 23K, we did have a delayed start and a course alteration due to high winds here in the Lake Tahoe region. So instead of a single 23K loop, they are doing 2 11K loops here today. Allie Mack marching through the briars, marching through the willows here. She makes her way up towards the summit of KT22, an iconic place in mountain running and in skiing history. Here in Palisades, Tahoe, a beautiful view. You can see Lake Tahoe there in the distance as Allie Mack still in that jogging cadence.
And I think right now, if splits are accurate, we do not have a split yet for second female coming through Snow King, which means that Allie Mack has opened up a massive lead over the chasing Anna Gibson and Tabor Hemming. So we will try to get an update there. And Janelle Link's sitting in that 4th position. We're going to try to see if we can get an update from the Snow King aid station, but as of right now, it does not appear that we have new splits from the chasing women in this race. Oh, we have camera people wiping out. We have runners wiping out.
Okay, so Eli knows this is my shot. We'll see if he takes a look over his shoulder at any point. But recollecting back to the first lap, we started to see Chad Hall make up time on Eli Hemming here in the snowfield as they ran down the hill from the summit. He's passing the glissading mid-pack runners still out on their first lap. Eli Hemming well on his way to victory. And
this is making me so anxious right now, like legitimately so anxious for him. Oh my goodness, he is bobbing and weaving. This is not easy. It's hard for people to move out of the way. They're in their race. It's also very snowy and very slippery. It's not an easy place to step aside. It's also not an easy place for him to slow down at all. You really can't apply brakes in snowy conditions like this. So he is really making good moves. Our camera runner just behind him almost lost it right there, but he's gonna come off the snow soon.
Bodies
oh
everywhere.
Goodness.
Bodies everywhere as Eli Hemming.
It's like a bowling alley.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we'll have Zach Marion on the ground to give us his first person interpretation of Eli's technique and body language. More people glissading down the snowfield as Eli Hemming keeps his balance, if only barely.
Update from Snow King. Second woman through there is Tabor Hemming. Anna Gibson's tracker has not gone through there, and that puts Tabor Hemming 5 minutes behind Allie Mack at the 8.3 mile aid station. So Allie Mack has opened up a massive lead over Tabor Hemming and Anna Gibson.
Yeah, massive is even an understatement in this context, Corrine. 5 minutes after a 90-second lead. That means she has put another 3.5 minutes into her competition in probably less than 3.5 miles. Allie Mack taking control of today's race.
Janelle Lynx is now through there. She's about a minute behind Tabor Hemming. So Janelle Lynx and Tabor Hemming 2 and 3 right now. There's about a minute between the two of them. Anna Gibson tracker has still not come through Snow King. Part of me wonders too, like they're an hour 20 plus into this race. Anna's been training for the 1500, right? Like this is a big jump in distance. But look how fast Eli Hemming is going down this snowfield right now.
This is absolute madness, and you can see the thousands of foot strikes implanted in the snow between all the races that have occurred here on the race course over the last 3 days. Eli Hemming finding a merciful patch of dry ground here as he bombs down the hill back towards the finish line in what he hopes to be probably the biggest victory of his career so far.
And it looks like we do have Zach Marion ready to give us an update from the snowfield out on course. Zach, how are things going out there?
The conditions have dramatically changed out here with 2K to go. With all these athletes coming through, you can see that the snow has turned into slush. And we had Eli go through 1 minute ago. He is our lead male, and we have no sight on male 2 right now. He's put a huge gap in on this. And to be honest, his first round through, he looked most comfortable on this terrain more than anyone else, just like Allie Mack in the lead. I think that this is a technical runner's dream right through here. This is where they're going to make the gaps. This is where they're going to increase the gap that they have all right through here. And Eli knows he has to push hard because this final 2K, if Chad were to catch him, it would be a road runner's race because it's clear conditions after this.
So, thank you so much,
Zach. You can see everybody
Zach.
behind me just going down in this terrain. The snow has softened up quite a bit. All the amount of athletes that are just crushing through it has softened it. It is a just mess up here, but so much fun to watch. We're in the best part of the whole course. We're going to send it back to you guys. We're going to keep eyes out to see if we can get male 2 and F1.
Unbelievable, Corrine. Thanks so much to Zach. Eli Hemming very much in control of today's race. It would take a miracle at this point for Chad Hall to make up that ground.
Yeah, I think Eli knew if he got to the snow with enough lead and was able to make it into that downhill and make it to the road in particular, that he was going to be clear of Chad Hall, and that is exactly what has happened here today. I did get an update from Bridget. Liam rolled his ankle in the first lap, so I think he is retired from the race today, which is a bummer. That's what I was worried about when I didn't see him lap through. So right now we got this beautiful aerial footage of M1. This is Eli Hemming in that red Salomon kit making his way down through all these other runners that are lapping through on their event too. And I love, I mean, out and backs and looped courses, some people hate them because it's like, oh, it's redundant. But I love it because you get to see everyone, both as a front of the packer and a mid or back of the packer. It's kind of nice that everyone is like still within the same zone, cheering each other on, getting to witness each other experience the day. We do have some footage up higher on the course of Chad making his way.
Yeah, we could cut to camera 8 and just show Chad real quick before we see Eli's finish. Chad also looking like he is flying down the mountain.
Yeah, so if we can get to cam 8, there we go.
Chad Hall again, a 61 or 62 minute half marathoner.
This might be Jeff Stern chasing. He was camera 8 during the VK, so this might be Jeff Stern keeping up with the likes of Chad Hall through that snow, making it look easy out there.
Unbelievable. Man, Chad Hall has one of those strides where you can just tell the dude can move on flat ground. Looking over his shoulder though, he's looking for Mika, wondering if he's safe as he hits the type of terrain that he probably feels most comfortable on. That is non-technical, smooth dirt road running with a slightly downhill trajectory as they make their way back down here to Olympic Valley, to the village. Eli catching a glimpse over his shoulder.
It sounds like from out on course, it is possible that Anna's tracker just didn't pick up at Snow King and that she is still in second, but about 3.5 minutes behind Allie Mack.
So we are going to get a glimpse of Eli Hemming through the window here any second. Eli Hemming in the bright red Salomon jersey. Second place here in the VK and the 23K last year. Not racing the VK this year and taking home the biggest victory of his career, a championship here in the 23K at the 2023 Broken Arrow.
Yeah, really, really impressive running for him. I think he and Tabor stepping out of the VK allowed them to focus on this and focus on the triple that is coming up. He's not quite to the corner that we'll be able to see out our window here in studio. But again, want to also reiterate, we do believe that Anna Gibson's tracker just didn't pick up at Snow King and that she is in fact in second, which would make it Allie Mack 3.5 minutes later, Anna Gibson.
There he is.
2 minutes behind her,
Holy smokes.
Tabor Hemming. So 1, 2, 3, Allie, Anna, Tabor. But yeah, we just saw him fly by our window here. He is moving. I want to see his Strava file after this.
Yes, can't wait to put that in the chat. We could all look at it together. And I guess we should mention too that we are going to get our champions here in studio with us. So don't go anywhere. Once the race is over here today, we will try and get Eli Hemming. Once he's had a minute to take a breath of fresh air and drink a little bit of water, we'll try and get him in studio for a little interview. But Eli Hemming, an absolutely impressive performance here in Palisades, Tahoe, the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace champion.
Here he comes.
He's got to sort of wrap around the corner here.
Yeah, they don't go directly to the bell this year. They kind of go down through the village almost and then loop back up into the finishing chute this year. But he's going to ring Das Bell.
Ring Das Bell. No more second places for Boulder, Colorado's Eli Hemming, the triathlete turned trail superstar, taking home a proud victory here today. Big congrats to Eli Hemming. What an awesome, awesome race. Just taking control on lap 2, huh, Corrine? Just hit the gas on that second uphill and just motor all the way to the finish line.
Here he comes.
So again, last year's men's champion, Andy Wacker, finishing in 1 hour, 50 minutes. It's going to be under 1:35. Totally different course, but crazy, crazy fast. Ring Das Bell, young man.
Nice work, Eli Hemming. No longer second place for you.
What a stud. What a crazy, impressive athlete he is.
We're going to ask him about that molecule tattoo on his arm when he comes into the studio.
Yeah, one of the things we were talking about on the panel yesterday, again, it's just like, you know, he's been an endurance athlete his whole life. He said that his parents started a triathlon club in his hometown in, I think, sort of rural Colorado. And so he sort of grew up in a multi-sport, endurance sport family. He's been doing it for as long as he can remember, transitioning from a pro triathlon
We've got
career.
Chad Hall coming down the road. If we can get a split screen, I think we've got cameras maybe chasing Chad as he approaches the village. I can just see Chad's blue shorts through the windows here as he makes his way down the final stretch of road into the village here. Chad Hall is going to be your second place male in the 2023 Broken Arrow 23K this weekend.
It'll be interesting to see the final split here coming through the first lap together. If Eli was able to do that second 6 mile lap a couple minutes faster, that's pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, we can hear the applause as Chad Hall makes his way towards the finish line. We're going to see if our camera can pivot back to that shot of the bell as Chad Hall, go back to that maybe fixed finish line camera. There he is. Oh, we got our runner on him. Perfect. Chad Hall, your second place male here today. Sounds like he's going over to Marathon du Mont Blanc next week. That will be a rematch between him and Eli Hemming.
Yeah, and another great result here for Chad Hall as he continues to rack up the resume in trail.
Stairs in the finish. That's brutal.
Yeah, his form, his technique, you know, you can tell he's coming off that marathon training, right, where he's just doing endless intervals on the road, just developing the speed, create that just super smooth running cadence for Chad, easily transitioning from the roads to the trails. Also comes from a triathlon background, the younger brother of Ryan Hall, one of the all-time great American track and field athletes and marathoners. A great athlete in his own right, Chad Hall, ring das bell.
Nice work, guys.
It's like probably 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, no, that was sizable. We can get an official split here in 1 second. Yeah, they got Anna Gibson's tracker to read actually at the top now, so it's official. It's about 2:12 or so, yeah.
Eli Hemming, Chad Hall, your first and second place finishers in the men's race. We are likely going to see Mika Bowden-Rousseau, the young buck from the trail team, the recent graduate of Stanford University, who will likely be our third place finisher unless he has lost time here on the second lap.
Yeah, he is being chased by a group of guys that are all chasing each other, and kind of like as in cycling, right? Like harder being a solo person out front when there's a chase pack behind you.
So true. Cutting back to Allie Mack, women's leader. Back to Mika here, who will indeed round out the men's podium here. Is he 24 years old, I think he is?
Yeah, 23.
23 years old. Part of the trail team we mentioned earlier. Being mentored by the great Andy Wacker. Mika Boudon-Rousseau. Young man, welcome back to Palisades Tahoe. Huge third place finish for him. 1:38.35.
I feel like Andy very casually introduced us to him the other day. Like, oh yeah, he jumped in the VK last year, but you know, 1 year of actual, like maybe some trail time. Look how good he did this year, type of thing. So he's on the up and up. He had that taste of trail last year, and I think he's actually like finishing up his career at Stanford. Now he's really ready to come to the trails.
Yes, he looks happy too. He looks gassed, as it should be after ripping 23 hard kilometers here in Olympic Valley. So fun, Corrine. So many new characters in the sport right now, you know? Like 2 years ago, we didn't know who Chad Hall was. We didn't know who Eli Hemming was. We certainly didn't know who Mika was. And now all three of them on the podium here at Broken Arrow, one of the most important races in North America. We can cut to camera 4. We can see the great Allie Mack as she cruises down the hill here, comfortably in the lead of the women's race. The last split showed that she had about 2 minutes and 12 seconds over Anna Gibson, the VK champion from Friday. Allie Mack looking comfortably in control here as the women's leader.
Yeah, she looks really, really smooth. We do know that at the top she had, you know, about just over 2 minutes of a lead over Anna Gibson. Curious to know kind of what that changes, what that looks like. So basically she put another, you know, 45 seconds or so to a minute on Anna on that climb. But it's gonna be, I'm really excited to see Anna make it through today, experience that downhill, experience a much longer race than what she's been prepping for, what she's been training for. And really, like, you know, this is an early Anna Gibson.
Oh, totally. It's such a good point, Corinne. I'm glad that you mentioned that. It reminds me of what I was talking about with Eli earlier, about how last year it was like all about just gaining experience, developing the technical skill, right?
Yep.
It's not it's not the talent, it's not like the work ethic.
It's like you've
of the
never
training.
eaten during a race
Right.
before. Oh, I had to carry a water bottle. Oopsies, right? Like that is a thing that it's like if you've never experienced that before, it's a weird lesson to learn. Back at the finish line, looks like we have a couple more guys who have come in.
Go, runner, go!
I think that might have been Talon Hull in the black.
Oh, Ali Mack goes down. Good recovery. There's Henri Hermon, our Italian athlete who was on the podium at the VK on Friday. Oh, and there's Garrett Corcoran.
Yeah, so right now officially, so yeah, Eli Hemming, Chad Hall, Mika, Talon Hull was fourth. That's a huge performance for Talon Hull. I feel like that is him like doing what we know he could do. Fifth, Henry, the young Italian, Garrett
Corcoran
in sixth position. That is a baller first through sixth.
That's a baller top six as we see Ali Mack navigating the carnage up on course, barely keeping her own balance as she passes.
That might be the 18-year-old that just finished. That might be Ali Paplin who just came in and rang that bell. 18 years old.
Wow.
And then I just saw Abraham Hernandez. That's Pat
Parcell.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy
Wow.
smokes. So that was probably 7th, 8th, 9th there
Yep.
in quick succession.
Wow. I'm pretty sure an 18-year-old just snuck into that top
Great race
eight.
from Pat Parcell too, huh? He's a
Massive race for Pat Parcell.
local baller and certainly like, you know, somebody who would probably view his own skill set probably in the longer distance, at least 50K plus here in the top 10 only.
And as mountainous as possible as well. I think he has had the Desolations, like 7 summits of Desolation record on both foot and on skis. Like he is an absolute mountain maniac.
Speaking of mountain maniacs,
The 18-year-old getting high fives and fist bumps from absolute legends.
stud. So that's Ali Pampelon here from Boulder, Colorado, 18 years young.
As I told Andy Wacker, you got to start recruiting younger, man.
Sick. 1 hour, 41 minute, 33 second split for 18-year-old Ali Pampelon. Another new name we will likely be hearing from a lot more in the years to come. We come through the top 10 here. Still have...
Yeah, that looks like we had Andre, Czech Republic, and Raul from Spain come in there, probably rounding out those 10th and 11th positions. I think we might have audio from Zach Marion if we can pipe that in.
We've got Ali Mack, our F1, coming down right now. She is charging down this gully. Nice work, Ali. Good job. She is shredding, smiling, looking so incredibly great. She's got that 2K to the finish and an incredible gap at this point. All she has to do is maintain what she's got, and she's got the win in the bag. And arguably, she made it right here on these descents, making them look so incredibly easy and enjoying herself, having a fun time. Again, this course is going to favor the technical athlete every single time on these types of conditions. We've got so many athletes slipping and sliding down through here. This course has changed considerably on the second lap. This snow is softened. You've got hundreds of athletes who have gone through it by now. We have butt sliding happening all the way down this thing, and we have seen so many tumbles that these front runners on their second lap are going to have a heck of a time. It's going to be very different from their first lap to their second lap coming down through this. So as we are keeping an eye out for F2, we have so many other males coming through. Dylan, Corrine, this is back to you guys. We'll keep an eye out for F2 and 3.
Ali is legitimately like leaning into the downhill here. It is such perfect form for a downhill, but on the snow in particular, we just saw her wave to the drone. Ali is having fun, and when Ali is having fun, Ali races well. And I think that's an important thing to remember, is that you have to be able to have fun out there on the trails.
Yeah, such a great point. Just looking deeper down the results here. Between 5th and 11th, we have Italy, Mexico, the Czech Republic, and Spain all represented in the top 11 here in the men's race. Broken Arrow truly becoming one of those marquee international races, not just a marquee North American race. Big kudos to Brendan Madigan, the entire Broken Arrow team, for building this event into truly one of the best in the world. Ali Mack now onto the dirt road all the way to the finish. She is probably feeling quite satisfied with this after a disappointing couple of performances at the World Championship just last weekend in Innsbruck, Austria. Ali Mack coming through.
I just want to point out that the 18-year-old and Pat Parcell, Pat's twice his age, right? Like you've got 18 and 37 all in the same top 10 group. Like this sport is so cool.
How great is that?
Huge performances. Really, really cool to see. People are losing it outside the studio walls for the finishers that are coming in and for those that are lapping through right now. We anticipate we will see Ali Mack through our window here shortly. Right now on your screen, though, that is Anna Gibson, the NCAA standout on the track in the 1,500 meters, just finished up her NCAA career last week. Quick turnaround from NCAAs to Broken Arrow sky running.
So Ali Mack was wrapping up the World Championship last week, and Anna Gibson was wrapping up NCAA track season.
You can see a little bit of a difference between Ali Mack descending the snow and Anna Gibson. This is not easy, but once again, it makes you appreciate too, like how good Ali is on this terrain as well. Like Anna Gibson is so talented, and when you watch Ali versus Anna descend that, it's still night and day.
And we've got Eli Hemming in the building here, the men's champion. So as soon as we see Ali Mack and a few of the top women finish, we're gonna pull Eli into the studio here for a quick interview. So don't go anywhere as we watch Ali Mack smash this dirt service road on the ski resort, hugging that right side. It looks a little softer over there. So she can go max effort, full gas downhill, not looking over her shoulder.
Staying out of trouble over there. Yeah, absolutely flying on this downhill. And I imagine we'll see Harley, her dog, greeting her at the finish line. Smile on her face. Rocking her Hoka kit, new to the Hoka team this year.
So last year, Ali Mack was just about 2 minutes behind Sophia Lockley, who's the 2022 23K champion. And let's see if she's able to win by at least that margin here today as the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace 23K champion. Ali Mack going from second place to first place here at Broken Arrow. No VK for her this race weekend. It'll be interesting to hear from her whether that left her feeling a little bit more fresh here for Sunday's race.
Yeah, or just gave her the time to actually get into the right headspace to want to toe the line. I think that was a big deal for her, was making the decision to come and then making the decision to race. She really had to get herself into the right headspace to feel like she was going to go have a good time out there.
So a couple more switchbacks here for Ali Mack before we see her charge down the finishing chute. Big thank you to our production help from UltraSignup. So cool to see ultrasignup.com pivoting from not only being a registration platform, but to being a full-blown media house, also doing race day live streaming. They also send out a great newsletter. Corrine, you host a podcast with the good people at UltraSignup too.
Yeah, Buzz Burrell is out there on the mountain somewhere. We should probably try to track him down as well. He's my co-host for the Trailhead podcast. We're actually going to record later today to talk about his Broken Arrow experience and my Broken Arrow experience on this side of the camera. But oh my goodness, what we can see on our side is we've got some other cameras up, and Anna Gibson isn't off the snow yet. She's almost to the road, but she's not 100% clear of the snow. She's going to be on that section shortly. So Ali Mack is going to take this by several minutes, I would say. My guess is that she has extended her lead over Anna Gibson at this point, which means that we're looking at Ali Mack taking the win by probably 3 or so minutes. Would be my current public math that I'm willing to do.
Yeah, potentially even more. An amazing day from an amazing athlete, Ali Mack, and Certainly not representative of any lack of talent from Anna Gibson. What I was saying earlier, you know, just like Eli, right? He was saying at the panel yesterday, just need to gain experience, need to just develop the technical skills. Anna Gibson very much doing that here today. Likely take home a second place performance in her first broken arrow. A great place to build from for the future.
Allie Max coming into the village here. Things are getting really loud outside. Your women's champion in the 23K at the 2023 Broken Arrow Sky Races presented by Salomon is going to be Allie McLaughlin. She is flying past our windows right now to thunderous applause. Can't wait to watch her around this next couple corners.
Unbelievable, Allie Mac.
Where's Harley? Bring us the dog.
Enjoying every moment of it as we see Mael Backhausen there with the GoPro. Big shout out to Mael. He's been manning the Broken Arrow social channels all weekend, working hard, as is everybody from the Broken Arrow organization. Making it possible for Corrine and I to sit here in studio and bring this great story to you as we watch your champion, Allie Mac.
Harley, come on! Oh my goodness.
Adoring golden retriever, the dog that follows her everywhere.
Her
Allie
best
Mac,
friend.
her best friend.
Yeah,
all the good feelings here. Ringing the bell, Allie Mac, your 2023 champion.
Oh my goodness. This is what joy and happiness looks like.
Getting hugs from Ethan Veniclaus and Nancy Hobbs.
Yeah, last year we didn't know it was her dog when it charged at her in the finishing chute, and we got a little bit concerned for her safety.
Thought some spectator had let their rogue animal attack the second place runner that year, Allie McLaughlin, as she was coming down the finishing stretch, and the chat was like, no, that's her dog. I was like, oh, I feel stupid now.
Yeah, we're like, oop, right, missed the puppy.
And I just want to say what a great vibe it is down there in the village. If you are anywhere close to Olympic Valley right now, you should come down and enjoy this vibe here at the finish line of the 23K, wrapping up an amazing weekend of racing here at Broken Arrow.
Yeah, and we do know that Anna Gibson is on the road. She is making her way down the fast service road towards the finish line. We've got our follow cam on her as well. This is a long race for Anna Gibson. I think she had to feel a little bit better that it was becoming a two-lap race, maybe, that she'd get to see the snow before she descended it for a second time. I'd be curious to know how she felt about stepping up in distance this weekend. And then Tabor Hemming is also on the road.
Wow.
So F2 and
close.
F3, I don't think are all that far apart. So we're going to have a race to the finish line between Anna Gibson and Tabor Hemming. I don't know if Tabor can see
We could have
Anna.
a double Hemming podium here today, folks. It's going to be a good part of the storyline here in today's race. We'll see if Tabor has enough real estate to reel Anna Gibson back in. Again, Anna Gibson, your VK champion on Friday, doubling back to secure what could be a second place finish here for her. And you think this is the longest race of her career at this point?
I think it is likely the longest race of the career. We're watching in studio, just so people know, we're watching Eli watch Tabor behind the scenes right now. This has to feel pretty special as he watches Tabor.
We'll get a sense of how his nerves are here after Tabor finishes.
Eli, are you upset that you're not at the finish line right now? Do you want to go hug Tabor? Okay. Just checking. Don't want to rob you of that opportunity.
So just to remind our audience here, the Hemming duo is going to be traveling over to Europe to represent the United States of America at one of Europe's biggest and most important mountain races, the Mont Blanc Marathon, which takes place in Chamonix every year. It's going to be great to see them double back off today's awesome podium performances to see how they perform against the world's best on the Golden Trail World Series. I love this picture-in-picture. We get to see Allie Mac celebrate the victory as we see Anna Gibson and Tabor Hemming engaged in a battle for the podium. Anna Gibson with those swaggy pink sunglasses. Moving quickly. She's a 1,500 meter specialist on the track.
Yeah, so I think her PR college PR is 4:12, or in a 4:19 at NCAA's. Last week, she's going to be at USA's in Eugene just after, I think it's the first week of July in Eugene, Oregon. at the other great running destination on this side of the country, down at Hayward Field.
So we are now almost 4 minutes to lap since Allie McLaughlin finished as the champion. So she also, just like Eli, extended her lead significantly here on the second lap. It'd be great to get Allie Mack in the studio also here in just a little while. And Anna Gibson still has a little bit to go, so I mean, this gap could be quite substantial, Corrine.
Yeah, no, I think it's really opened up a lot. I mean, we got to, once again,
that's Janelle. Yeah, okay.
We also, I mean, we got to watch both Allie Mack and Anna Gibson on that snow, and Allie running on that snow. We did watch her take a tumble, but Allie running on that snow is as if she's running on a normal road surface. I think a lot of the other athletes out there definitely struggled more so that are in that top 5 right now. But Janelle Lynx looks really good on this road section as well. They are all bombing their way down this hill to get to the finish line. Anna's almost to the finish line here. She's gonna wrap her way through the village and then come down into the finishing chute to ring Das Bell.
So impressed with Anna. Again, a big shout out to Andy Wacker and the trail team for identifying athletes like Anna Gibson, for identifying Nico, our third place finisher in the men's race, giving them the resources, the knowledge, the mentorship to be successful on the trails, and to show these great young athletes that there's other opportunities than just pursuing a professional career on the track and on the roads, and that the trails offer a welcoming home and a wonderful community and a great opportunity and platform to compete against amazing athletes.
Anna Gibson's going to be your second place female today in the 2023 23K here at the Broken Arrow Sky Race. In my mind, this is really exciting. I'm anticipating that this is better than she hoped for in this race. She was really worried about the downhill portion of the course, and I'm thrilled for her to cap off her weekend with a first in the VK and a second here in the 23K, and she's taking home a nice chunk of change.
I mean, just thinking back to last year, Allie Mack was first in the VK, second in the 23K, Anna Gibson following in Allie's footsteps.
Yes.
24 years young, ring Das Bell, Anna Gibson, incredible weekend for her. The trademark hands on knees, catch your breath, post-race pose. Anna Gibson looks like she's got some glitter on the cheeks to add
razzle dazzle up the day, you know?
Razzle dazzle
sparkle
swag.
power. We see
Sparkle Watts like Kate Courtney in the Great Mountain.
Tabor Hemming is rounding her way through the village. She's making her way through the zigzags right now. She's going to be at the finish line in all of about probably 30 seconds or so.
Awesome run from Tabor here also.
Kicking off her triple, taking this experience over to Europe to the Mont Blanc Marathon just next weekend. So excited to watch the Hemmings take on Europe before going to Mount Marathon. That is a nice tight podium between second and third there. Nice work, Tabor.
Podium performance there for Tabor Hemming to add to her husband's win here in the men's race. Double Hemming podium here today. Big smile from Tabor Hemming. A great warm-up for next weekend's Mont Blanc Marathon.
There's Loomis filming on that section as well, it looks like. And Janelle Lynx shouldn't be that far behind. She'll be our fourth place female to make her way in to the finish line here.
Janelle looking strong, looking smooth.
This is the Janelle that we've been waiting to return. She had a great run at the GoPro games over in Vail just last week, rubbing elbows with Danny Moreno, Nicole Miracle over there as well. Really, really cool to see kind of her coming back into form after missing much of last year due to injury, really giving herself the time and space to come back really, really strong. I think we're going to see a lot from Janelle This year, I hope to see her mix it up in the Golden Trail Series, mix it up in the Discreet Series. She is a fast mountain athlete. And I found out the other day that she lives in her Subaru and is a gardener by trade. She works a very physical job, gardening all spring, summer, and fall, and steamboat.
Yeah, what a great character, what a great storyline. One of the great things about trail running is that you do have just really interesting people who take part in the sport as well. We talked at length about Allie Mack being sort of a daredevil, stunt artist, skydiver, dirt biker, base jumper. Now Janelle Link's a gardener, someone who deeply cares about the environment, lives by her values, and also is not afraid to pin a bib on and go full gas against the world's best. Janelle Link's your 2021 champion here, taking home a proud 4th place performance against a deep international world-class field at the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace 23K. The home stretch here for Janelle Links.
Yep, and who we imagine is going to be chasing her, right? We've got Sarah Willett, Anna Doobie, Sarah Gull, Rachel Mao, Andy Cornish, Gabriel Ori, Laurel Moyer, and Chessa Adset Morris are going to be in those 5 through about 12 positions chasing down this final descent.
Taking an immediate seat there for Janelle. Catch your breath, have a sip. You earned it. Double thumbs up.
The young guns that were out there. Mixing it up with all the legends.
Gotta love the sportsmanship. Allie Mack hanging out, greeting all of her fellow competitors. Everybody gave it their all out there today. Allie Mack came out the best on the day, but certainly each and every one of these finishers so far are top class athletes. Hugs galore at the finish line. You love to see it. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, it's like everyone is trading tales, stories from the trail, how things went, where they went wrong. Did they like the snow? Did they hate the snow, etc.? Did they survive the snow?
Best part, right? You just go full gas and suffer for 2 hours, and then you just give a bunch of hugs.
We got calves coming in. Who are we following? We need our
unidentified
camera to go
calves,
a little bit higher. Let's see, who do we have coming in? I believe it is our 5th place female. Sarah Lewitt, we believe, representing Great Britain, just came back from Worlds in Innsbruck last week.
Also had a great race in the VK on Friday. Corrine and I are standing up in studio here. It's too exciting to sit down anymore.
Trying to stretch it out a little bit.
Stretching it out, ringing the bell. 5th place finisher. I think
that's Sarah Willett.
Yeah, Sarah Willett from the UK. Our first international finisher here in the women's 23K. A solid 5th place performance for her. She was 3rd in the VK, I think?
She was 3rd in the VK, yeah. She finished just behind Jade. It was like really tight between her and Jade, making it up the final pitches of the VK. But yeah, coming off of Worlds where I think she did both the VK and the Classic up-down.
Big smile from Sarah.
Yeah, super excited to see her come over here and mix it up with these women. Hopefully she liked the snow out there. Enjoyed the course. I do think that we're going to get mostly good reviews from the course reroute today, which is exciting. It was a hard last-minute decision.
I mean, I gotta say, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, personally. Dylan really enjoyed it in studio, but yeah, I'd be curious to hear from the runners out on course today what they thought of this the looped course we had to go to due to the wind. We had wind gusts of 70 miles an hour up high here at Palisades Tahoe. So we kept our runners on the lower section of the mountain, utilizing the 11K course from yesterday, doing 2 laps of that course, making that pivot really, really smoothly early this morning as we all sat around here in studio saying, what are we going to do? The trams can't run. We can't get medics up on course.
Yeah, I mean, pretty impressive to see how they rolled with the punches too, Corrine. I mean, like this morning, the two of us arriving and walking into a studio of composed but
nervous.
Serious and nervous, yeah, looking production staff and race organization staff who had to figure out a way to, you know, sort of make lemonade with the lemons that they had, right? And a lot of gusting wind, no ability to run the tram, got to reroute the course. It turned out to be a spectacular day. And it just gave us another hour to warm up.
Yeah, we got to eat snacks. It was really awesome.
We
We actually had food today.
We did. We were able to go get a little bit of breakfast as we await the second half of the women's top 10 here. Where are we expecting to come in next? The tracking's a little bit weird here.
Yeah, so we expect Anna Doobie to be our next athlete in, but we are going to split our screens, go to a little bit of an athlete vignette while we wait for our 6th, 7th, 8th women to come into the finish line here in not all that long. So don't go anywhere. Stay right here. Join us in the live chat. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
I think it's important and interesting about Broken Arrow is that there's something called the WMRA World Cup, and Broken Arrow is part of it. And this is a really prestigious set of trail races that are sub-ultra, which is near and dear to my heart. And almost none of them are in America. And Broken Arrow is really changing that.
I feel like it's one of the few sub-ultra races in the US that has somewhat of a level of international acclaim.
I'm a super competitive person. And honestly, like when I was getting into trail running, it was like, this is super fun and I love to push myself and try to be as good as I can be. And so Broken Arrow was that place that we're told by everyone, like, okay, if you want to get some competition early on, go to Broken Arrow.
I'd heard that Tahoe is a beautiful area, and I really wanted to see a part of the country that I hadn't seen before.
You know, the snow is going to be really interesting this year. I've heard in years past, I've heard lots about the 2017 year, so I'm excited.
The environment too of making it such a community, like I think they try really well to like envelop everybody in the festivities.
I'd always had it in the back of my head that if it ever did come up, the opportunity to travel over to America, I would take it. It's a new country for me to visit, and especially when I hear the stories about Broken Arrow and I see the pictures from it, just the landscape that it takes place in. For me, it's just a different experience, and it's one that I'm very much looking forward to.
Tahoe is really special to me, and my mom and my dad got married out in Tahoe. They got married out on the lake. So back in 8th grade, I also did a 100-mile bike ride, and it was to raise funds for cancer. And in 8th grade, that was pretty close to home to me as to why I did it, because my dad passed away from cancer when I was in 5th grade. So Tahoe was definitely super special.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a cold breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. The real stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in, and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real breakfast can do.
Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Nice keep talking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. They'll tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pine. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
My
name is Jeff Vierling, co-founder of Tailwind Nutrition. We make drink mixes for athletes to help you fuel, hydrate, and recover for all sorts of outdoor activities. Running, cycling, hiking, climbing, any sport where you're working up a sweat. We manufacture our own products in Durango, Colorado, and we test and use them on the trails of the beautiful San Juan Mountains. Our mission and our passion is to help athletes achieve their goals and to feel great while doing it. We couple proven nutrition that's simple to use, easy on your gut, and tastes great with encouragement and education. You can think of us as your support crew. We're right there with you doing whatever it takes to help you get across the finish line with a smile on your face.
Escape to a place where you can truly connect with nature, where crystal blue waters meet towering mountains, and picturesque landscapes make every season the perfect playground for world-class adventure. So dive in and feel what it's like to be on top of the world. Join us in preserving the natural beauty and take the Traveler Responsibility Pledge. Be mindful of others and save time using free transportation services like Tart Connect. Learn more at GoTahoeNorth.com.
Okay, welcome back to the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace presented by Salomon. My name is Dylan Bowman, joined by Corrine Malcom all day. And now we have a very special guest, our 2023 23K champion, Eli Hemming. Last year, second place. This year, the champ. How's it feel?
Feels really good. Andy wasn't here, so we'll see. No, it was super awesome. Like a little adversity with the changing conditions, with the delay and everything. So it was kind of fun, just like taking the pressure off and be like, okay, like whatever you can do on the snow, you can do.
Yeah, we were sitting in here talking through the delay as it was happening in real time, and I was watching people warming up. It was like 7:38, and I was like, you guys, we need to go like yell at them because they have like 2 hours till race time now. Like someone needs to go stop them from warming up.
No, it was like in track when you have those little pre-race shakeouts.
Forever
yeah, that's
and
what we did. Yeah, we had a 15-minute shakeout, and then we hung out for like a couple hours, and then we raced.
And race you did, man. That was so fun to watch.
Thank
Holy
you.
smokes. You were sort of in the mix, sort of at the lead, basically, for the entire race. It was like you, Chad Hall, Mika, young, you know, recent Stanford grad.
There's an 18-year-old in the top 10 as well, which like blew our minds.
But like really the three of you guys were sort of together on that first lap. You clearly like the strongest climber in the crew. They sort of swallowed you back up on the descent. Tell us about the first lap and then we'll go to the second.
Yeah, so I mean, the first lap for me, I was thinking just kind of, well, especially with the schedule I have coming up, I'm sure we'll get to that. I was thinking, let's not wreck my legs on the first lap, and we can kind of have some little reckless abandon on the second lap. But try to save the quads for the climb on the second lap, because when you know you're with a 2:12 marathoner, you don't really want to go down a road with them.
Yeah, which we actually watched that. We watched Chad close the gap down to you and Mika, and then actually like take over on that road descent. You guys came through the village. I think there was about like 8 seconds or so separating you, but by the time you hit the dirt again, you had moved in the lead. So tell us a little bit about kind of strategy moving through, lapping through the village before you headed into like what is the predominant climb of the second lap.
Yeah, so I kind of just figured I would let him go just a little bit on that. I knew I was climbing pretty well today. So I wanted to keep those legs. I didn't want to trash him before the second lap because that climb it's long and steep, and then it turns to snow and it continues to be steep.
Yeah.
So really, I wanted to hit the second climb with Chad, and then I wanted to just try to get to the top of the hill as fast as I could.
So do you like consciously make a move there, like knowing, okay, I'm the better climber between the two of us. I have to get a gap by the top of KT in order to maintain it to the finish?
It was purely I would like to be away.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have trying to rip downhill with him, but I prefer not to, especially with racing next weekend as well. So I figured I could do less damage, but more damage in the race by smashing the climb.
Yeah.
So I guess talk us a little bit through the course change, right? Like we were all prepared for the normal-ish 23K course, more or less one big climb, one big descent. I guess there's a little bit of a climb out of Shirley as well that you can't forget about. It's pretty steep. And it's very snowy this year, but all of a sudden you find out not only is the race delayed, but you're gonna be doing 2 laps of the 11K course that people raced yesterday. Like how did you reset going into that? Did you like the course? We're really curious. We loved it. We loved getting to watch you guys lap through, but how was it as a racer out there knowing that you're going into a 2-lap course all of a sudden?
Honestly, it didn't change a whole lot of my preparation. It was kind of just continue with the norm, race as I was going to race. The second climb was obviously a lot longer, and honestly, that probably was to my advantage. But the the traffic on the second lap got a little chaotic.
It looked like it.
Yes.
There's moving between glissading
yes.
and mid-packers.
You were like a bowling ball, and there were just pins scattering around you.
Yes, it was a little chaotic, but definitely really fun.
Did you feel like you sort of had a comfortable lead at that point? Were you looking over and not seeing Chad? Where did the elastic kind of break?
I started hitting it hard pretty early on in that climb, and I saw that I had some space. And then on the first lap, everyone pretty much hiked that steep section, and I made a conscious effort to not hike and try to run hard up that. And so after that, I looked back and I already had quite a bit of time, and I figured if I did that on the snow as well, that I could get quite a big break there.
So impressive.
Yeah.
So tell us about, on our panel yesterday, you're like, I finished second place so many times last year. This has got to be the biggest victory of at least of your trail running career. Talk
Absolutely,
about that.
yeah. It's really been. I've been trying to work on all those little skills. I've been asking everyone, the Europeans, I think, are getting annoyed with me. Why can't I run downhill well? They're like, look at you. You're standing upright, not doing well. And then you look at, they're showing me body positioning, everything. And I think just time spent is one of the biggest things for me. And so learning the skills there is going so huge. And I think I hope that's gonna keep showing this year.
Yeah, it felt like last year was a continual education into the sport of trail running, and then this year there's a little bit more okay, I'm still learning, but I kind of know what I'm doing now.
Last year I was calling it the trial by fire, and this year I'm gonna call myself a trail runner.
Cool, I think that's fair. So speaking of being a trail runner, we just found out that you've got a flight to catch at 6 p.m. tonight to take off for another slew of racing. So we've been kind of hyping you up this entire time. Tell us what's coming down the pipeline.
So I leave at 6 p.m. for Marathon du Mont Blanc next weekend in 7 days. And then on July 4th, I'm going to Mount Marathon.
Casual, a little turnaround there.
Yeah, back over to Europe, up to Alaska, and back to the U.S. It's going to be a lot of travel and 3 very different races.
Yeah, but did you feel the snow today, that steep pitch, where you're like, okay, Mount Marathon, I'm coming for you?
I was thinking that a little bit. I don't think that one's going to be my peak race, because that one it looks terrifying, but I'm going to try to smash the climb and see what I can do on that one too.
I love it.
Smash the climb. Well, tell us about Mont Blanc Marathon, super important race. It's your season debut on the Golden Trail World Series. I'm assuming you're going to sort of make that your focus for most of the competitive season outside of Broken Arrow and Mount Marathon. How are you thinking about the Mont Blanc Marathon, that being such an important race in the European circuit?
Yeah, we're kind of treating this race as a stepping stone. This is the last hard effort before we get to there. But the training has been specific for Mont Blanc. So it kind of, that we had such good days today, me being first, Tabor being third. Super stoked on that. Wouldn't have been surprised if it wasn't that, because the focus is next week. But had great races and super stoked on that. But looking forward to the little bit longer one next week. Less of a fast start.
Right? How do you, I think it'll still be fast at the start, but I guess it is a longer race. You guys have done a 50K, you've done Way Too Cool, right? Yeah, so you've experienced.
That was an experience, yeah.
Yeah, Tabor feels the same way. I'm pretty sure that it was definitely an experience. But, you know, this next race for you, it does feel kind of like it is like solidly in a different class as far as distance and time on feet goes. Like, how are you feeling preparation-wise to like really take a swing at it?
Preparation-wise, I mean, I think that we've done really great like this year, kind of the focus of being ready for those longer events. Like we've spent more time on feet, spent a lot of time cross-training. We've had decent, like pretty big hours, maybe not that big of mileage all year, but been big into, I was learning how to ski this year.
Congratulations.
I crashed a lot on snow, so I was the most competent crasher on snow this year. So that's why I was doing well today.
Yeah, you look good coming down the snowfield today. Maybe as we sort of wrap up, love to hear you just sort of like talk about you and Tabor both being on the podium today. It must be a pretty special one for you two.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I mean, I think I kind of came in with a pretty big aerobic background being a triathlete, and she came in from CU being plagued with injuries all the time. And so I'm trying to stay the better Hemming for a little while, but I'm not sure that's going to stay that way.
The battle of the Hemmings will
battle
continue.
of the Hemmings. Oh, it is, absolutely. It's just starting.
There's a YouTube series, I think, in there somewhere.
Well, man, what an awesome race. Congratulations on finally breaking through those second place finishes that you racked up. It's going to be so fun to watch your race next weekend over in Chamonix, the Mount Marathon, the weekend after that, and to see what you do the rest of the season. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in studio.
Thank
Travel safe. We're going to throw over to Scott Rokas to get a little behind the scenes action here in the studio.
Oh my goodness. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is a 3-year vision for me that I wanted to pull off, and I cannot just give enough thanks to everybody involved with this. There's 2 things I want to mention, and one thing, the stats that came out since I recently started working with Alt Signup is the beginning of this race in 2016, we had a female participation rate of about 35%, and looking at our data, we found out this year it's 45% in women's field. So I think that's tremendous growth, and we're happy to, that's one of my key focuses. You also know that our photographer team out there is majority women, and they have been just kicking butt this whole weekend. Huge days, big packs around. So I am stoked to see that growth across our race. So the other thing I wanted to mention to keep out is, not only do we have this, but in 2 weeks, Ultra Signup's launching their own series. It's called the Dirt Circus, and it's going to be bringing runners together, race directors together, and elites into a 6-city tour. The information is available on our website, and it's going to be covering all things trail. So look out for Dirt Circus. First race is coming up July 1st, and I believe the next one's around July 22nd in Auburn. And now I want to go down to our race director. He's going to be at the finish line, and he's going to give us a feel. Can you imagine his position this morning when he found out he's going to have to make an entirely new race course? So let's see what he's feeling.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone enjoying this event today. We had some adverse weather conditions, and everyone was awesome about our course adjustments. We're firm believers of working together as a team, but really the greatest reward for us is to see everyone show up here and go for the full send and have a great day, a great weekend. It's just super fun and great to see the turnout. I want to get this in IV for the rest of the week. Oh, okay. Well, I can keep going. The performances today, next level. Having the World Mountain Running Association in Lake Tahoe is so awesome, let alone the Golden Trail National Series. So thanks everyone for coming. We love you.
Escape to a place where you can truly connect with nature, where crystal blue waters meet towering mountains, and picturesque landscapes make every season the perfect playground for world-class adventure. So dive in and feel what it's like to be on top of the world. Join us in preserving the natural beauty and take the Traveler Responsibility Pledge. Be mindful of others and save time using free transportation services like Tart Connect. Learn more at GoTahoeNorth.com.
Okay, welcome back into the studio. We are joined by Allie McLaughlin, the 2023 23K champion. Second place here last year, taking a step up the podium. Allie Mac, how was it out there today?
It was super fun. The course, as everyone knows, it was changed to 2 loops and it was a delayed start. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, I just went in super relaxed. And I wasn't like stoked on the 2 loops and I ended up loving it. It's like just so much energy coming through and you knew what was coming next. And the snow, I will say the second lap of the snow was not quite as easy. I wiped out a few times and there's more people, you don't want to run into them. The texture was just...
It was like softer, slushy.
Yeah.
And so many people had stepped in. It was like mashed potatoes at that point. I feel
Yeah, it was more easy to get out of control, but it was a blast.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we were talking to Eli Hemming about that. Like, you guys were like, people were like warming up while we were like making the decision to like delay and change the course.
yeah,
and we
yeah,
were
yeah.
like, stop warming up out there. So I guess like, you know, all of a sudden, yeah, I knew that you had gone out on the course VK day, had done some fun glissading, and you're like, okay, I think I want to do this. All of a sudden, you find out it's a 2-loop course. Were you disappointed in this idea that like, I've got to do 2 loops now? Like, am I gonna get the fun snow? Like, was that playing into like how you felt this morning?
Totally, yeah. And like, I don't know, my mind's just been all over the place. I can't make decisions, and the bike path was sounding very nice this morning.
Like Harley on the bike path will be perfect.
Yes, but then I talked to people, and they're like, no, the whole descent will be mostly snow, and they were right. It was, except I mean, obviously the last 2 mile and a half, but yeah, the like high parts were all snow, and so it was better than my expectations.
Yeah, I love it.
So last year in Thailand, you came home with 2 medals, a gold and a bronze. This year, it sounded like you were a little disappointed with your performances at Innsbruck. Talk about last weekend's races and why you ended up jumping into the 23K today.
Yeah, like I was planning to come here after and do the 23K, like that was part of my season plan, but then last weekend in Austria was just rough. Like I ended up getting pretty sick the second race, but also it was just like a lot of mental stuff. As soon as like the VK went off, like I felt good in the first mile, and then once starts, it got tough. I just mentally couldn't push. Like it was just like this like exhausted, fatigue, mentally didn't really care, and that was scary for me because I was like, what is going on? And then it just like was kind of a bummer. I still had a blast with my teammates and did stuff in Austria, but yeah, it was just kind of a bummer, and I was like, I need to go home, like go home and just like get away and kind of go hibernation. But then there like on Wednesday of this week, Wednesday night, I was like, you know what, Thursday I'm gonna drive the 7 hours I was in Boise, and I was like, I'll come and just hang out. And then once you're here, you start feeling better, and the snow was fun. And so, yeah, I think getting out there today kind of showed me that, like, it was just a bad weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Before we went on air, we were talking about how this, like, it was fun, and it kind of like the performance itself and like having a good day and getting to enjoy it and like also just like throw down felt like a palate cleanser. And I'm wondering, like, are you coming out of the 23K feeling like, okay, it was a bad week, I've brushed it off, like I'm actually okay?
Absolutely. Like, and you know, not just because I won, like even if I got like second or third, it was like just the feeling of going on the uphills. I felt like I could almost keep running, like keep
pushing.
Yeah,
It looked like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We watched you like going into the second up, like the second lap, like that big uphill. We're like, oh no, she's still charging.
Yeah, and like last week I would have been walking most of it, and so just to like have that feeling back felt great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you had a 90-second lead after the first lap, and then you won by more than 6 minutes.
Whoa.
So the second lap was incredible. Do you want to just maybe walk us through the race, how you were approaching it strategically, and like maybe where that gap ended up occurring?
Yeah. So yeah, that's information to me. I kind of heard a few different numbers, but I started out super conservative. I like to blast out, but I was in like 4th or 5th in the first mile and just like kind of felt like I was going for a run. And then slowly I was with Tabor for a little while, and I just felt good, and I kept going. And then the snow parts felt like the incline to me. I mean, they were like stairs. That felt great. Saw so many people I know. And then coming through the when we passed through, it was so fun. All the people there. Dylan Harris was filming. Well, first of all, on the snow part, that was fun. And to one of the filmers, I was like, "You ready for a ride?" And I just took off, and I was like,
You were like rolling down the windows.
No, yeah, like you were like leaning forward into it. We're like, it doesn't even look like she's on snow. Like she's just flying right now.
well, luckily, because I went up and had fun on Friday, I knew if you fell, it didn't hurt too bad. I actually like smacked my head on Friday, and it was like, oh, it's just snow. So I had like no fear today. And then coming through, Dylan Harris was filming, and I tried to like out sprint him for a minute, and I was like, oh, that was a bad idea. But yeah, just coming up the second loop, I was like, if I knew I had a little bit of lead, and I was like, if I keep moving at this pace, they're gonna have to really pick it up to catch me. So I'm like, just don't die.
Yeah.
That was my strategic
We have to give a
plan.
quick shout out. That's Buzz Burrell making his way down the hill. Go Buzz!
Go Buzz!
I'm podcasting with him later to talk about his race weekend.
We
did the VK
hung
too.
out.
It's
Yes, we
amazing.
saw him. We had dinner with him the other night. He's a hoot.
Yeah, he is a character.
All-time legend.
Yeah, he's been in this
The
sport.
creator of the fastest known time movement, Buzz Burrell, for those who don't know, among many other things.
People in the comments while they were watching you run downhill were like, is she paragliding? Like they're like, there's no way that she's running downhill right now. Like it looked that effortless. So I guess talk about the second loop. We watched the chaos unfold a bit. We had some pretty good images of, I think we only saw one tumble on your side, but we saw like just the navigation of other humans out there seemed like a real factor. And I'm wondering, like, were people supportive? Were they cheering you on? Like, how was it navigating? Because I kind of love looped or out and backs, getting to see other people.
Yeah.
Like, was it fun? Was it frustrating? Was it the perfect combination?
It was super fun, and everyone was so nice. I felt bad sometimes because I
didn't want them to have to move.
Yeah, and so usually like sometimes they'd be like, "What do you want?" I was like, "Just stay there, I'll die, and just don't move at the last second." I creeped up on a few people, but didn't take anyone out. So
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So with this renewed enthusiasm and the mental willingness to push, where can we look forward to seeing you race next?
I'm still gonna kind of go hibernate for a little while, but no, Sears and all, I think in August, and then OCC.
Yes, I think the little European push in
Have you done that
in the
race
fall will be
yet?
amazing.
No, Sears and all.
No, I have not. Been
You're
told to
gonna
do it
love
for
it.
years, and I am.
That feels like a great race for you, given the
uphill-
2,000 meters uphill.
Yeah, the
and
uphill
then-
is bonkers, and then the downhill is like, it's like rolls along the top, and then like the mega downhill is so much fun. Like you can like
good.
let it go on it. And you'll just pass people because there'll be all these dudes that go out like way too hard, and you just like will fly by anyone who's made mistakes. It's awesome. You're gonna love it.
Great. I think, I have some specific training to do, but I'm excited.
Well, I think it's great to hear you say, still go enjoy a little bit of a hibernation after all you've accomplished. This last 12, 18 months for you has been huge. You've
Insane.
done so much, and now you've got a really positive data point to go hibernate
Totally,
on before you buckle up again for the summer.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Allie McLaughlin, your 2023 23K champion. We're going to throw it back to Scott Rokas in the studio.
All right, guys. One of the things we know in Broken Arrow is everyone is a rock star. So every year, a real honor of mine is focusing on some of the stories around the race, right? Everybody's in the race. Some of the things, the way we have, like this year's story highlights how the finisher trophies were made. And everybody knows Patty O'Leary is a well-loved part of the family, well-loved individual. His fiance is actually an artist and designed all of these finisher trophies that they're gonna take home. And Tony with a Sony made a video for us, and we want to throw to that video now to show you the amount of effort that goes behind these trophies. And we want to thank very much the North Tahoe Community Alliance for the funding to be able to bring these stories to you. So here we are.
The steps that we take, no matter how small, are always leading us somewhere. The journey that trail running can take you on is so special because of the environments that we bring ourselves to for these races. It's unlike any other sport, really, that you get to explore the most spectacular wildernesses while also pushing yourself and taking yourself on an internal journey. My name is Eleanor Schultz, and I'm a visual artist. For the Broken Arrow first place trophies, I was given instructions to make something that was beautiful, something that would be a showpiece that people would be proud to have, and also that would be a little bit difficult to get home on an airplane. So I really value this sense of play that was communicated to me from the very beginning, and I wanted to make something that people would really treasure, that was both beautiful and functional, and that could bring them happiness. I decided to illustrate a mountain lupine scene and a three-dimensional shadow lamp that has illustrations cut out of it, and it functions as an actual lampshade so that light can shine through and cast the shadows on the walls. The shape of the trophies is a direct reference to these 20-sided shapes that my grandfather used to build over and over and over again. He was a farmer, but he was also an inventor and an artist, and I really connect to and share this just desire to build and desire to make, and I've always wanted to create one of these shapes in his memory. I just really love them. I hope that the people who win these trophies really love and cherish them as well. One of the coolest things about this sport is the places that it takes you and the environment that you get to build a really strong relationship with. So you get to explore just incredible terrain. The North Tahoe trails are unparalleled, and Lupine has always reminded me of that area. Trail running is all about combining individual steps over and over and over again until you begin to build something that's so much larger than just taking 1 or 2 steps through the mountains. I really love this idea of small acts of repetition building up in an act of devotion into something extraordinary. So even though the individual steps may seem small, the journey that you take through these acts of repetition eventually bring you to somewhere really beautiful.
Feeling good?
Okay, we are back in studio. Welcome back. 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace presented by Salomon, and we are joined by Salomon athlete Courtney DeWalter. You've been all over the place.
Courtney
Yeah,
here now.
you guys have seen way too much of me today. I apologize.
Tell us about it. You've been all over the mountain.
You've been
today?
busy.
You've been all over the village. How's it
Yeah,
been going?
the village has been really cool. It warmed up a lot, so temperatures are quite pleasant for just hanging out and watching finishers come in. And there's a huge screen out there where you can watch the entire broadcast. So people are like feeling really in the race.
Is it weird that people are sitting out there right now listening to this conversation?
Hello.
Hi, we have her, we stole her, we borrowed her for a little bit, and according to the live chat, infinite Courtneys is the right amount of Courtneys.
Oh boy. But what did people say about the shark versus the anaconda?
I don't think we got a clear answer on
Okay.
that. I think we did get a response that from the National Park Service, running in groups was the best way to deter bears.
Yeah.
And having some slower friends.
And you know what else is good to have if you're getting chased by a bear?
Ooh,
Maybe a
love
pair
that.
of poles.
Love that. What about some Lecky poles?
Yeah, Lecky Poles, the best in the business. Lecky, a great sponsor and supporter of today's broadcast and of the Broken Arrow Skyrace, and a supporter of yours, I'm sure, Courtney, right?
Yeah, all of us, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
technically 3 Lecky athletes all up on stage together.
It really is an amazing product, and
How did
maybe
they
each
figure
of
that
us.
out? How'd they get all of us up here?
Yeah, so maybe each of us can contribute a little insight as to how we use poles in training and competition. And I don't know if you want to start, Corinne. Maybe that would be fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of, well, you come from a Nordic skiing background a little bit as well. We both skied in high school, and I skied collegiately and post-collegiatally, like playing
Like
in the
a
mountains.
boss?
Playing in the mountains felt really natural with poles. Like I got into trail running because it was basically what we did every Saturday for Nordic skiing. We like ate snacks in the woods for long runs. It was great. And so, oh, we got extra Courtneys going on here. This is, Courtney's not uncomfortable at all. But I would bring, you know, like bringing poles is, oh no, we've lost her. Oh, she's gonna turn the interview on us at any point. But,
Yeah.
So yeah, using poles is completely like feels really normal and natural to me, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people.
Yep.
And so practice is a big deal. Bringing your poles with you on many year runs is a big deal. If you're ever going to use them during a race, you got to practice with them.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Would you guys have raced with them today on this course?
I think it's a really interesting mix of things. There are parts where it was super steep where I was like, ooh, I'd be happy to have poles.
I would.
But I think I'd want little snow baskets because I think they'd be a little bit punchy with these little guys.
Yeah, the snow definitely adds a different factor, but the steepness for sure would be great for poles. I love these ones because of the hand grip and the, I don't know, how small they break down when you're not using them and how much then effort and force you can push through the pole when it's connected to your hand like this. I think they would have been perfect for this course.
Yeah, and we did see a lot of individuals out there with them too, particularly through the middle and the back of the pack as well. Lots of pole used out there. I think you could use them as a rudder too if you were like butt glissading, right?
Ooh.
A little bit of steering out there.
Yeah, I think in particular though, they get more useful the longer the race gets, especially for
100%.
like the athletes at the front of the pack. Like for example, in the VK, I think only Morgan Elliott was using poles. We saw Amanda Basham using poles too in the women's race. I can't recall anybody in the front of the field today in the 23K that was using them, but certainly like coming up at Hard Rock, where you and I will both be running at UTMB later in the summer, and the longer distance mountain races, they become super duper important to the front of the pack. But for the middle and the back of the pack, they're great tools out there.
Yeah, they become, so I've got an athlete running the 23K. He's gonna have a fun but long day out there. And that was a huge conversation we had, was like, you know, for him, poles add balance. They add an ability to have like an additional support for both. Like the uphill is a big deal for keeping you upright, for allowing you to drive into the hill. But on the downhill too, it's like having the ability to put a hand down without having to actually put a hand down, using the pole to kind of not brake so much on the downhill, but kind of like guide, steer, balance. It like keeps me from, I think, like falling over part of the time.
Yeah, we had a bunch of people from Freetrail who were training for the race this weekend too, and all, you know, not traditional pole users, don't come from the Nordic skiing background or the alpine skiing background. And same thing you said, Corinne, it's just like practice makes perfect. Just get used to having them in your hands, march uphill with it, and you sort of develop the technique over time. Courtney, you've got a couple big weeks coming up. You've got one race that doesn't allow poles in Western States. And then
No traction, no poles for you.
Perfect. Ice
Love it.
skates.
maybe give us a quick preview of how you're thinking about those couple races coming up.
Two races that are in like juxtaposition.
Yeah, so Western States is next weekend. A faster, more runnable, hotter 100-mile race, and then Hard Rock 3 weeks later, high altitude, more of a hiking race. I am mostly just thinking about Western States at this point and going full on, leave it all out there, and then we'll see what I can do in those 3 weeks between to get ready to push my way up some mountains in the San Juans of Colorado. So we will see.
Yeah, they're two very interesting races. They have two very different skill sets. They demand, I mean, going long, being able to go into the pain cave and keep chipping away in there, I think is really important for both of them. But they just, they have very different elements as far as altitude versus really high heat potentially, very runnable and fast versus a long day walking sometimes.
Yeah.
So wondering you're all in for Western States right now. Will you be excited when it comes to like pivoting to the next thing?
Yeah, I think the differences in the course make it feel extra exciting to me. Like it's not rinse, wash, repeat for the second race. It will be something totally new for Hard Rock, hoping that my legs and lungs and brain are just ready to go again after 3 weeks of, I don't know, like ice cream and Netflix and
Gummy bears.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Kodiak cake pancakes with lots of maple syrup.
Yeah. Both courses, though, will have plenty of snow on them. The Western States course, I mean, what, maybe 30 miles of patchy snow? And then the San Juans in Colorado have tons of snow still.
Do they?
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So get
Dylan's
ready.
like not ready yet for it.
Looks like I got to go for a lap this afternoon.
I was gonna say, Dylan, speaking of training and Hard Rock, before we get off this subject too much, you've been training predominantly in the Bay Area for Hard Rock, which we know is a very vertical focused race. Have you broke the poles out yet?
I have not broken the poles out once this season yet, no, but immediately after Western States, I'll drive directly to Silverton, where the poles will be in my hands basically several hours a day, I hope, for the first 2 weeks I'm there, as I try and get my training done at the very last second leading into the race.
Cramming for the exam.
Cramming for the test. I love it. But getting poles in your hand for those weeks will be super helpful. Like, my arms get tired in those first runs of the year with them.
Yeah, you
Like,
definitely
whoa.
do need to like train it the first couple long days you have them out. I'd like to use them a lot on the downhills too. Like at Hard Rock when I did it in 2021, I had my poles out for probably like 60 miles of that rate, like the last 60 miles.
Oh
I
yeah,
never put 'em away.
TDS, etc. Like there are times where I just don't put my poles away. I'm like, I don't need to store them anywhere. Because
You may like unclip out of them and carry them in one
Yep.
hand, but not put them away. But I mean, you know, Hard Rock, the every climb, you're basically just power hiking up with the poles out and then using them for balance and
Yeah, that was, so we got people on screen right now using poles, making their way up. We did have one question from the audience, and that was, like, what is your favorite way to store poles when you're not actively using them during a race? Are you using a quiver or a belt or stashing them in your pack, etc.?
I think I prefer the quiver. So it just straps onto your pack that you're wearing and they slide right in. That's one of the coolest parts of these, is that they're super easy in and out because a huge part of it just stays on your hand the whole time. But yeah, I think that's a very easy way to access them in and out as much as you need to.
Yeah, totally. And
What
it
do you
also-
do?
Oh, well, I'm kind of in the Dylan camp where sometimes I just don't put them away. But we're lucky, a lot of our shorts now for our team competitively comes with like pole like loops already sewn into them. So instead of having to wear a belt with pole loops, etc., we can just like slide them basically into the back of our shorts, and they hang right there. Yeah.
It's just amazing how much the equipment has advanced in the last 10 years,
Yeah.
including the poles. I mean, for the first decade, that they were basically trekking poles that people used
That
in
fully,
trailing
like-
races.
like-
Now these
yeah,
are just
they fully,
so
like, slide
hyper advanced, crazy light, carbon, pretty durable too for how light they are. The ability to stow them, really fantastic tools for mountain running.
Yeah, could not agree more. Courtney, we're gonna let you go back out into the wild. I think we're gonna throw back to Scott Rokas in studio behind the scenes.
All right, when we talk about behind the scenes, we talk about the months and months it takes to prepare this stuff. And part of that is the storytelling. And that's, for me, I don't know if many know, like I lived in a van for 6 years to build a new career focused solely on storytelling. And when I had this idea to join, or this opportunity to join Ultra Sign Up, one of the things that would stood out so importantly to me is the ability to bring these stories that I've been passionately pursuing for the last 7 or 8 years to a wider audience. And so the next two we're gonna bring to you through Ultra Sign Up and the support of NTCA helps us show that we want to celebrate every part of this sport and the colorful stories and the spirit, not only here but around the country, the events around the country. And so I think Rebecca tells it really well. I'd be surprised if some of you don't have a tear after this piece, but we all have a place here, and it's quite an honor and thankful to Tony with a Sony to be able to document this and bring this to everybody. So I hope you really enjoy this next section. Following Rebecca will be just a really fun recovery from those tears and some great footage of Tahoe and the amazing trails we have here with Helen. So let's go ahead and kick off this moment with Rebecca, and it's an honor to bring these stories to you. So thank you.
My name is Rebecca Murillo. I'm from Rancho Santa Margarita, California, and right now I'm based in Oakland, California. Running has been a really good kind of constant in my life. I think running does help me set goals in a way that I know and that I can be consistent with. Doing that has also brought me a lot of amazing friendships, and even outside of like that social aspect, it's helped me gain more confidence personally, and that confidence has been translated to like many other aspects of my life. Community has been a huge part of my running journey. I think that finding trail running community has been like important in my development as a runner and a person. And then in the last few years, I've been running with the Renegade running community here in Oakland, and it's been great to see it grow. Seeing all different kinds of people come to the runs and the ways that everybody in that community has supported each other. And that's been really special. When I think about my role and sort of increasing representation, being Latina and like having that called out, like it's amazing to be like someone who can help increase representation. But there's also times where people will say, oh, you only got this advantage because you are Latina. And that is not a great feeling. So I think sometimes when I think about representation, I get hit with those feelings. I think more people need to know that they deserve to be here. And I think sometimes it's hard to acknowledge that because maybe you feel like you don't deserve to be here. The core of what I want to be saying by like being this person, and that sometimes it is hard to say like, yeah, I want to share my story, or yes, I want to be doing this, because you don't want to feel like that's the only reason why you're getting it. But also it is important to know like you deserve the opportunity. You deserve, you've been putting in the work and you deserve it. And those are sometimes things I have to remind myself, and things that I want others to be able to feel in themselves. They deserve to be here. Why should they come to Broken Arrow? Or like, why should they do this crazy race? Or why should they do any of this? Because they deserve that. And I think, everybody deserves to be like the best version of themselves and to pursue the things that bring them a lot of joy. And this is the thing that brings me a lot of joy. And so I hope that in sharing my story that I can help convince myself I deserve to be here and help others like believe that they deserve to be here also.
My first memory on the North Tahoe trails was during my official visit to the University of Nevada, Reno for track and cross country. And I remember running on the Tahoe Rim Trail and just being blown away by how beautiful it was and getting to see Lake Tahoe and how big the lake was. It was just another moment where I feel like I fell in love with trail running. Something that I think is really special about North Lake is just the collective community of everyone loves to recreate, whatever that is. Maybe that's trail running, maybe it's skiing, mountain biking, and I feel like during winter there's a collective hype about when it snows and everyone gets really excited and you get to talk about that. And I feel as if the same thing starts to happen around this time of year when trails start to melt out and you start to hear from other trail runners or bikers like, oh, this trail's here. And I just feel like the collective excitement of the outdoors is something that's really special to this area. If you really enjoy getting to spend time in nature, I think that North Tahoe is such a great place to come visit. It's beautiful this time of year and we have so many trails and so many different places to explore.
Okay, and welcome back in studio here as we make our way into the afternoon here on a beautiful day in Palisades, Tahoe. I'm Dylan Bowman, joined by Corrine Malcom. Corrine, let's catch the people up on the women's race. We haven't talked about that in a little bit. Now we have a lot of deep results, so we could probably go, 15 or 20 deep if we feel like
I'm going to pull up what we've got going on. We'll get graphics made for this in a little bit, I think. But Allie Mack was really the talk of the town won by 6 minutes over Anna Gibson. Tabor Hemming was just behind her. Janelle Links in fourth, really close, actually finished there between Anna, Tabor, and Janelle. Another 2 minutes back was Sarah Willett. Again, she was third in the VK on Friday. Back in sixth position, Anna Dubé. Oh, yes, they have it on the screen for us. Thanks, team. Seventh, Sarah Gall. Eighth, Laurel Moyer. Ninth, Rachel Mao. And 10th, Andy Cornish. And again, Andy Cornish was that really young runner out of Boulder. I think she's 20 years old. I'll try to
22 years old
22
from
years
Jackson,
old.
Wyoming.
Oh, Jackson, that's right. She was I was like the Anna Gibson, the next Anna Gibson in this group. So yeah, really great field of results. Can pull up maybe who finished just outside that group as well.
Yeah, going just a little bit deeper, Amanda Basham finishing 11th and rounding out her Triple Crown effort this weekend.
Yeah,
awesome
and I think
job by Amanda.
I think that means that she will likely take the Triple Crown over Lindsay Allison, who will be the second female, I think, in that Triple Crown competition. Again, Amanda Basham using this race weekend to train for UTMB. She had her lucky poles out all weekend as well, as she is prepping specifically for UTMB at the end of the summer.
Yeah, it looks like Lindsay Allison was back in 20th place.
Yeah,
so.
Rachel Drake 14th, Chessa Adset Morris, we talked about earlier, back in 16th, Sam Lewis 17th, Carly Rempel 18th. This is actually a very deep women's field.
Super deep. Speaking of deep, let's just wrap up the men real quick before we talk a little bit more about some of the great stuff happening here at Broken Arrow. I've got we've got it up on our screen here too. So again, Eli Hemming, so cool to sit with him here in studio and hear about his day. This kid has such a bright future ahead.
Yeah, Chad Hall, who was in second, we were told that he ran a 4:11 mile to close on the road. Mika Young, Stanford standout in third. Talon Hole, we were told, ran a 4:16 mile to bridge up to end up in that fourth place position. He flew down the road to claim fourth. Henry Amando, who we watched in the VK, finishing fifth. Your favorite, I think, out of Salt Lake City, Garrett.
My new fave. Speaking of which, you gotta follow Garrett Corcoran on Instagram. It's absolutely hilarious.
Isn't he like Garrett the Parrot?
Garrett the Parrot.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Just raced Worlds, super mega talented. I feel like we need to merge him with Talon Hall. Talon's a really fast guy, you know, trains really fast, and then Garrett's like wandering around in the Wasatch for like 8 hours at a time, just doing vert.
He came to the Elite Men's panel yesterday with his snowboard underneath his arm because he had just done a few laps at Alpine Meadows.
Casual. So yeah, I feel like we need to blend some like track workouts into Garrett's life, and he's going to be absolutely unstoppable. Right behind him though, 18-year-old Allie Paplin. Like, how cool was that?
So cool. It'd be awesome if we could get Allie in studio here too at some point. It seems like a really fun storyline from the weekend. He did the VK as well, finishing 7th here in the 23K. Absolutely incredible, 18 years young. Then Abraham Hernandez also had a great VK on Friday, finishing 8th, 27-year-old.
Led the VK for a while too.
Yeah, he did. From Mexico, great to have some more international flavor in the race today. Patrick Parcell, the local, finishing 9th. And then Andre Fafar from the Czech Republic finishing 10th. Looking a little bit further back, we had some other really interesting athletes. Raul Sanchez, also an international athlete from Spain. We had Rafal Matuzak from the San Francisco Bay Area, Joey DeFeo from Flagstaff, Zach Hanna, who came all the way from Northern Ireland.
And he just guess who Zach Hanna just
edged
beat.
out Patty. Oh, I can't wait to talk to those guys.
I feel like Patty, not that Patty owes Zach a Coke, I think. I don't think Zach drinks beer, but there must be some sort of bet on the line between those two guys.
So 2 Irishmen finishing 14th and 15th. And yeah, like you said, Corrine, just incredible depth, incredible talent here throughout the top 20 in both races.
Yeah, Allie Mack finishing 19th overall on the day.
Unreal. So that's just a quick wrap up of all the action here in the professional ranks, but we still have hundreds of runners out on the course today. We've got Buzz Burrell in studio, the all-time legend, the creator of fastestknowntime.com, among many other things. He's going to join us in studio in a second. But first,
let's check out some stuff that you've got up on your computer screen. We're going to share Dylan's Dylan Screen with you all, talking about what's going on behind the scenes over at Ultra Sign Up.
First of all, don't pay attention to all the tabs at the top of my browser here.
He
I
promises they're all critical for the live broadcast. I don't believe him,
They
but we'll give
are.
him the benefit of the doubt.
The results, fantasy, Ultra Sign Up.
Okay.
Different athlete profiles, another Ultra Sign Up tab, Strava, weather, YouTube, my email, a run of show, more Ultra Sign Up stuff, etc. Speaking of Ultra Sign Up, you heard Scott Rokas talk about the Dirt Circus earlier in our broadcast, and it bears repeating. Thank you to Ultra Sign Up for taking on this effort, for expanding their business outside of the core race registration service that they've provided for such a long time and have done such a great job, and now moving into the media space and also putting on their own awesome event, the Dirt Circus. So I've got it up on my screen now. We're just going to share a little bit about this. Scott already mentioned it, and then we're going to have David Callahan from Ultra Sign Up tell us a little bit about it as well. It looks like the season, or the circuit, and the Circus is going to kick off in Denver on July 1st.
Yeah,
Should we
before
throw it to
making their way
David?
just down the road to Auburn, California. So yeah,
Right.
big, like tons of fun stuff going on, including kind of like an elite-only race on a short course as well being featured. But yeah, as you mentioned, we do have David Callahan out on course that we can throw to, bringing in his audio and imagery.
To us again. Hope y'all can hear us up here. Pretty windy up here on the top, but we've just had an unbelievable day up here watching the runners first sort of scrabble up all the loose rocks earlier in the day. Now they're trying to make their way down the snow fields. All smiles. Everybody's having a great day. This weekend has been amazing for the Ultra Sign Up team. A lot of people don't know, but almost 3 years ago when we joined, Ultra Sign Up was a very different company. There was, just one part-time employee sort of helping keep the thing alive. Now we got a team of 20 that singular focus every day is how we can make trail running better for the community, how we can bring the community together, how we can build new tools, new products, new events, new features that keep building that community. And this weekend is a culmination of a lot of work from that team, a lot of long nights and a lot of skipped runs.
Dave. Yep.
You can read that. We lost Dave, but I think we got the spirit of what Dave was trying to convey, thanking the team that he has assembled to help bring this whole broadcast together, including Scott Rokas, our executive producer, who again has been in charge of this broadcast each of the last 3 years. Corrine and I have been here for that entire time, and now Scott Rokas coming in-house and working with Ultra Sign Up to help sort of bring this whole race broadcast live streaming experience to life within their organization.
Yeah, it's been super cool to be a tiny piece of the puzzle behind the scenes, but joining us in studio, the man, the myth, the legend, you transported here from the finish line, Buzz Burrell. How was your day out there?
It was a little tiring.
It was a little tired, just a little tired. You don't seem tired.
There's hills on this course. I guess I should have read the course profile.
It wouldn't have helped you because we changed the course this morning.
Yeah, that's right. All right, that's right. Yeah, so if I've known there's been hills, maybe I'd have done a little bit better. But I got through it okay.
Yeah, you got through it fine. You did a big hill on Friday as well. You did the VK.
I did the VK on Friday. I did the Dipsy last weekend also.
Did you really? How did it go?
Well, it went pretty well. I won the runners division actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so Patty did it, won the runners division a few years ago. Now Patty won overall this year, and so.
You know what that means?
So
I don't know what does that mean.
2024 is your year.
I mean the pressure is on. That's probably what that means.
Yeah, I think that is what it means.
But it's so good to see you. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks.
And I emailed Ethan and Brendan 2 months ago about this race.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? Record-breaking snow year. There's going to be snow. I said, what are you guys going to do about this? And they said, we're on. It's a Skyrace. We're going to do this no matter what.
Yeah,
right?
he was like, he's like, European standards. We'll cut stairs.
They did it. They totally did it. You know how races go. It's all about the volunteers. We got our elite runners, but the volunteers what make races possible. Without volunteers, nothing happens. Do you realize what they did here this weekend?
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
They cut steps, 1,000 feet up these snow slopes.
Yeah.
So I want to call out the race directors and the volunteers whose names I don't know and say thank you, thank you, thank you. Nobody could do this without you. It was amazing. And they pulled off a sky race.
They did. They sure did. They really, and even today where they were throwing this last minute wrench where the tram's not going to run, we couldn't get medical or aid up to the top of the course, and they said, hey, we got this really cool 11K course. I bet we can run that twice.
Right.
Did that still kind of suit the flavor of what we were going for?
Well, at first you're going, we got to do laps, and you kind of want to go up high. But once you're up there, the wind was blowing hard. It was cold. It was like, this is okay.
Yeah.
And then as Rick Trujillo used to say ad nauseum before every Emigrant Pass run, the mountains don't care. That was his famous quote. They don't. They don't care about us, which is why we like going to the mountains.
Yep.
And so we're these puny little biological entities, and so we have to be safe. The mountains are in charge. We're just going to do what we can do. So I think it went really well.
Yeah, I think so. How was the snow?
Except I got tired.
You got tired. I know. We'll talk.
What the heck?
What?
Can we blame that on the race organizers?
You don't get tired, do you?
No, but you've raced 3 times in the last like 7 days.
Yeah, you've raced more than I have this year, Buzz. It's incredible.
You've raced more than the both of us.
Okay.
Combined, maybe, yeah.
You're a coach.
I am a coach.
See, I need you.
Okay, we'll talk about this.
That was great advice you just gave me just now.
Yeah, that you've raced 3 times in 7 days.
I need to hear these things.
Yeah, we had a follow cam on you on the whole last downhill.
Yeah,
did you know that?
Yeah, you were the star of the show here for a bit.
How did I look?
You have been a pioneer in the sport. And so for the people who are watching who may not be as familiar with your story, I think maybe you could provide an interesting lens through which you could talk about 2 things, both like the competitive side of the sport and the media side of the sport. I think Broken Arrow this weekend sort of is proving that we are in a new generation where both of those things are concerned. Is there anything you want to say there?
Well, it has changed a little bit, hasn't it? When I started running, there didn't used to be professional runners. There's literally no such thing. And so now when you get these conversations about the professionalism of the sport, I'm going, well, heck, if you're getting free shoes, you're doing better than I did when I started. But it's going well, like you said, ultra sign up. Ultra sign up is stepping in. They're a major player. Freetrail. You guys are stepping up. And I think the whole idea is just raise the whole sea level, right? I don't think anyone's competing, well, maybe some people in Europe whose names we're not going to mention are, but stateside, everyone's just trying to lift the boat. Everyone's cooperating. It's all for the good of the sport.
It's
that's
symbiotic.
That's my sense of it. I really like what ultra sign up is doing.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I mean, we get to actually, in not too many hours, I've been texting with Tina, our producer for the Trailhead podcast about, okay, like, we'll talk to Buzz, we'll see when he finishes, we'll see when he wants to record later, but we're gonna sit down and talk more about this Broken Arrow experience, like talk a little bit too about, what you've been doing over at the Trailhead podcast and bringing that in together with all the folks over at Ultra Sign Up.
Right. Well, Debo, thanks for asking that question, though. I did Skyrace in the Alps decades ago. It's like, this is all I wanted to do. So to be able to do it without leaving the States is really fun.
Super fun.
Yeah, and they did it. I mean, you could take those cameras and go like that, and you go, wow, it's beautiful. But you saw the on-course cameras. I mean, it was blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies. Oops, I shouldn't do that, should I?
Yeah, we'll cut you off eventually.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so at any rate, sky racing is here in the United States. It's really fun. These race directors did a great job. It's in a great place. I had a good time, except I got tired.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that. We'll go back to the drawing board on the old training plan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, but Corrine asked you about the podcast with Ultra Sign Up.
Yeah, let's talk about it just a little bit before we boot you out of here.
Well, it's called The Trailhead. You and I are the co-hosts.
We are. We sure are. It's a plug.
It's a plug. And this is the first time Corinne and I have ever seen each other in person.
Yeah, we've had a lot of computer time together.
Right.
But I'll say, and I think our hair looks as crazy on computer as it does. We'll keep it under your hat today.
Okay.
But it's good to finally put the face together.
It is. And it's nice to see, in flesh and blood, charming, good people. You get the vibe. Feels really good to me. But the Ultra Sign Up podcast is called The Trailhead, and it's short. It's only 30 minutes long. And we go with you and I having a chat about topics of the day, just quick back and forth. Then you have a nice interview with a particular person. Then I answer runners' questions. So go to ultrasignup. What is it? Ultrasignup.com, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
And then the podcast, it's a good podcast. I really think Corinne and I do a good job. And Tina, our esteemed producer, does a great job. And people call in with questions, and I answer questions.
Yeah, if you want to talk to Buzz on the air, essentially, you can be a call-in question asker, and Buzz will give you all of his, personal advice.
That's right. Well, we'll get to that. I hope someone calls in. I hope you get to talk to someone here who's listening to this right now on the podcast.
I just put a link in our chat here for our viewers too, so they can click through to ultrasignup.com, find the Trailhead podcast, and subscribe and listen. Maybe Buzz, last thing, you're probably one of the oldest finishers in the race today. Not to,
We weren't going to bring it up, Dylan. Come on.
No, I think this is good. I think there's a lot of people out there who, over time, life just gets more full, gets more busy. There's just a lot going on, but you've been able to maintain the love of the sport, maintain sort of like your leadership role within the sport and nurture the next generation and still get out there and crush it yourself, racing 3 times over the last 8 days. So maybe just talk about that longevity over time, how you've kept the passion.
Right. Well, thanks. Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate that. And I think Joseph Campbell said it, follow your bliss. I think if it's an external motivation, like I want to, win a prize or do this, do that, you're going to go like that. In Boulder, I live in part-time in Boulder, and Arturo Barrios, former world record holder in the 10K. And as soon as he was no longer the world record holder, he quit running. Yeah. And that's not kind of how we do it as trail runners. I think I have the joy of the participation. As a coach, you'd probably say the same thing. It's not really about the outcome, it's about the process. I think that's what I've done. Yeah. It's like every day, I'm a streaker. Every day I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the streak.
Yeah, until you're injured and we have to make you sit on the couch, you get after it every single day.
On the enjoyment aspect.
Yeah.
Not really the number, the distance, the external, the internal part is the streak I think that you want to establish.
I think that's really, really good advice.
Is that okay?
Internal streak. Well, Buzz Burrell, you're a legend, buddy. Congratulations on VK 23K this weekend.
We have to go for a run now.
Yeah, I gotta go get some training.
You're lazy.
So everybody, thanks to Buzz for coming in. Make sure you go click through, subscribe to the podcast at ultrasignup.com. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter also, and make sure you follow along with everything UltraSignup's doing for the community. It goes well beyond the legacy race registration platform now, and it's great to see it moving into this new generation with Corrine and Buzz, Jay, Dave, Scott, and the rest of the team over there at ultrasignup.com. We're going to throw it to a quick commercial break now, and then we'll come back to wrap it up.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a cold breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. The real stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in, and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real breakfast can do.
Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Nice, keep talking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. They tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
My name is Jeff Vierling, co-founder of Tailwind Nutrition. We make drink mixes for athletes to help you fuel, hydrate, and recover for all sorts of outdoor activities. Running, cycling, hiking, climbing, any sport where you're working up a sweat. We manufacture our own products in Durango, Colorado, and we test and use them on the trails of the beautiful San Juan Mountains. Our mission and our passion is to help athletes achieve their goals and to feel great while doing it. We couple proven nutrition that's simple to use, easy on your gut, and tastes great with encouragement and education. You can think of us as your support crew. We're right there with you doing whatever it takes to help you get across the finish line with a smile on your face.
Escape to a place where you can truly connect with nature, where crystal blue waters meet towering mountains, and picturesque landscapes make every season the perfect playground for world-class adventure. So dive in and feel what it's like to be on top of the world. Join us in preserving the natural beauty and take the Traveler Responsibility Pledge. Be mindful of others and save time using free transportation services like Tart Connect. Learn more at GoTahoeNorth.com.
and welcome back in studio here as we wrap up our coverage of the 2023 Broken Arrow Skyrace. We are joined by the man himself, Mr. Brendan Madigan. When I bumped into you in the parking lot this morning, I came up to say hello to you. You're like, can't talk. My voice is gone. How's your voice doing?
I was saving it, so I think I barely got over the finish line.
Man, amazing weekend. Corrine and I, we just have so much fun coming here. This third year in a row we've been part of the race officially.
It's one of my, I mean, I'm biased probably, but it's like one of the best weekends of the year. Truly, truly, truly. Like the event that you put on, the way you support the elites, the way you support and celebrate every single finisher, the community aspect, the live stream, which is insane. The rolling with the punches, that was a little bit crazy this morning. I know that was probably way more stressful than you let on. Like it is the race weekend in the U.S., I feel like.
Thank you. It's quite the honor coming from you. Yeah.
How did it go?
It went great. I mean, we're not done yet. We've got to get everyone, safe and sound over the finish line. But, I think to both of your points, the build, the collaboration, the celebration of the sport and the culture is just, you want to bottle this. You want to bottle it and put it in a freaking IV and just be juiced with it for like ever, because it's so good and fulfilling.
Yeah, amazing. I'm reminded, I have a graphic up on my screen. If we still have the ability to share my screen, I think this would be relevant for the listeners and a good thing for Brendan to expand on, of just the growth of this event since its inception. I mean, Corrine mentioned, this is like an iconic race on not only the North American, but the international circuit now. We had an incredible international field assemble here today. And this is a graph showing that growth from the humble beginnings in 2016, of course, the cancellation in 2020, but maybe just walk us through this progression and more or less just give us your macro reflection on what you've built here.
Sure. I don't know if I have, the answers that would explain that growth, but, I think we have an amazing team. There was no better exercise for our team than this morning with a massive, stressful curveball. But I think, just approaching it like an event that we would want to go to, celebrating everyone, celebrating the culture, celebrating runners of all walks of life is just, the way that, we would want to attend an event. So hopefully that resonates with people. And I think the collaborative organism that is now ever expanding is fun and fulfilling for everyone involved. Life is short, and I think running is a metaphor for life. And when you see every spectrum, everything on the human, like compassion spectrum, you see people at the finish line. You see people cheering strangers on and high-fiving strangers. Like, the world is a crazy place, and this is like one little safe, tree of trust that we can celebrate each other and treat each other with love.
Yeah, and it was super cool to see from Scott too that like with those participation growth numbers, like the percent of the field that is women now too is really, really cool. I think it's like 45% for the weekend. Like that's a big deal in the sport of trail and ultra running, where we really do like are supporting and lifting up everyone and really encouraging people who maybe have never done a trail race before, or maybe never done an ultra before, to like step out of their comfort zone and come here and experience it with all of us. And it's not an easy first race for anyone, but I feel like we have a bunch of like people show up here because they feel that support, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in the finish line being neurotic about the straightness of the chute, and a very nice woman pulled me aside and said, this event has inspired me to become a runner, and
That's
like
so cool.
That moves the needle in the world, like it's a little hokey, but like if that's what we can offer to the world and help people, then like right on.
Yeah.
Speaking of neurotic, it reminds me, after I passed you and we weren't able to have a conversation this morning so that you could preserve your voice, I saw Eric Schranz right here at the finishing chute, which we're looking at, and those black carpets had a vacuum on top of them. And
my dad was vacuuming.
Eric said, Brendan's so neurotic that we're vacuuming the carpets on the finish line. But I think
Brian
it speaks to the
Meltzer was
standard.
vacuuming it yesterday too. You've been putting people to work vacuuming those carpets.
I mean, like a legend in the media space is out there. We didn't ask him to do that.
Camera hanging off of him, vacuuming the carpet.
And that's the collective, right? That's, I think that's what we've always been about. And everyone is, like, it says a lot, right? At this point in the world that it resonates with people, I think.
Yeah, truly.
I mean, I wouldn't step on it if there was dirt on it myself, if I was coming down the finish
Well,
line.
your gait would probably get over it all.
But I think it speaks to community. You know, you're like from here. You know, this is home for you, and you're able to build this awesome event here in your neighborhood with people who I know are not only colleagues but friends. Maybe if you want to talk about, you know, the trail running world sort of coming to your neighborhood, what it means not only for you but for the greater Tahoe community.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think for us, you know, we just do who we are. We do us, and you know, we try to stay true to that North Star of being a highly branded and progressive new school event, but one that still honors the DNA of the sport, which is the people. The people, you know, make everything happen, and without the people, that we don't have a race. So, you know, our team is, I wouldn't trade them for anybody. I'd put them up against, you know, any other race org. It just, you know, such a great amalgamation of people, and you know, however we put that together, I'm so grateful for it, because when you have a real challenging situation like this morning, everyone just falls into lockstep and you know, does their part, and it works out. But to have everyone descend on Lake Tahoe it's amazing for us. You know, I mean, 2015, I was just running here, and I happened on the ladder and thought, man,
It'd be cool to send a race up there.
it would be so rad to you know, freak some people out on this ridge and send them up this ladder. And here we are, you know, 8 years later. And what's I think really special for me, besides the organic build, is the Europeans are here finally. And this finally feels like we wanted it to feel. It's full, it's buzzing, it's continual. And the Europeans, like, I just talked to Raul Criado, and he was gushing about how much fun he had. So, you know, hopefully we can bring more of the Europeans back and give them some of the flavor.
So cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it was something Corrine and I have been talking about all weekend too on the broadcast too, something that you sort of mentioned, in that it feels both like a grassroots community race and also almost like a running festival, right? Like you said, being highly branded, progressive, but also really, you know, honoring that legacy and the values of the sport.
Yeah, I think it's vital. You know, I mean, it all comes back to the people. People like Buzz came before us, and we're just standing on their shoulders, really. We're stewards of the sport, and we're just trying to do a good thing that people can enjoy and have fun at, and hopefully punish themselves pretty heavily.
Yeah. Maybe last thing, I know Scott Rokas is a friend of yours, and he's now in-house with Ultra Sign Up. This has been a big transition sort of behind the scenes that Corrine and I have been a part of Ultra Sign Up sort of taking control of the broadcast here. It's a big investment from them. Anything you want to say about that before we wrap up?
Well, I think just that we're so grateful for the partnership. You know, Scott and I are friends. I think he called me his first client, which I had forgotten about, but
when he was living in a van, probably?
In my driveway, maybe. You know, we have this great kind of organic, collaborative, you know, relationship, and I'm grateful that Ultra Sign Up has come in and supported his vision, and then, you know, he and I just try to stay, you know, continually collaborating from an artistic side to bring what you see here, and you both are part of that, you know, and the team, like, you guys have been part of it since the beginning, and you know, we're really grateful for that. It's tremendous. Like, when I walk in this room on Wednesday night or Thursday night, whatever it was, I was just floored by the amount of technology and how it looks. I mean, it looks like a newsroom.
TV set.
You know, it's so rad. But I know the teams that Scott is working with on the back end too has just been amazing, and yeah, couldn't be more grateful.
Do you have any parting words for people who might be watching the live stream this year to get to, you know, hit that button to sign up and come join us in person next year?
Yeah. So we would love for anyone who's inspired to come join us. You know, we'll promise you a good time, and many different ways, from the actual racing to weekend-long events to clinics and seminars and live music, and you know, it's just tremendously validating for our entire team to look at that finish line chute and see it looks like a really legit finish line, which is so cool.
It is a really legit finish line.
The dream is, you know, kind of come true. So
Totally
testament to a lot of hard work, a lot of investment from a lot of people. Brendan, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for everything that you do. And thanks for being a leader, not only in your local community, but in trail running more generally. And on behalf of Corrine and I, thanks for letting us be part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Huge props.
Appreciate you both.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, and we are back in studio one final time before we wrap up. Corrine, was that the best weekend ever or what?
I think it's the best weekend ever. I think those of you watching at home with FOMO, maybe JOMO, joy of missing out, I would highly recommend coming to join us in person here in the Tahoe Lake Basin next year, June 2024.
Third weekend in June 2024.
Mark your calendars, block them out right now.
Be there. Make sure you follow Broken Arrow Skyrace on all the social channels so you can be informed as to when they open that registration. I know it does sell out quickly, so if you want to be part of this next year, we would love to see you here in Tahoe. Before we go, just want to give another quick shout out to the Dirt Circus. David Callahan's mic got cut off up on the ski resort. So if you guys just want to share my screen one more time, we'll just let the listeners know where they might be able to take part in this awesome multi-city tour of trail running throughout the U.S. It starts again July 1st in Denver, Colorado, in association with Runner's Roost, then Auburn, California with the Aid Station, Nashville, Tennessee, the home of Ultra Sign Up on August 26th, Flower Mountain, Texas, September 30th, Phoenix, Arizona, October 21st, and then the finale in Bentonville, Arkansas, a town that has become famous in off-road cycling, will now become a place where off-road running happens. Sounds like a super fun tour, Corrine.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely amazing.
Okay, and a quick shout out to the rest of our sponsors. Again, Salomon was the presenting sponsor of the Broken Arrow Skyrace. North Tahoe Community Alliance, of course, bringing people to the local community. Tailwind Nutrition, Lakey Poles, GoPro the cameras, Kodiak Cakes, or Flapjacks as Courtney called them, and Cetus, the great running insoles. For shoes, Corrine, are you gonna go get out for a run?
I'm hoping so. I might need a nap first, and then a chat with Buzz, and then definitely a run. I might go run the 11K course, you know? It's marked.
Yeah.
Might as well go slide in the snow.
See if you can run it as fast as Allie Mack.
Oh, no way. There's no way.
Well, what a great weekend, Corrine. High fives.
We did it.
We did it. Another great weekend hanging out with you. And yeah, really appreciate everybody for following along at home. On behalf of myself, Corrine Malcom, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.